welcome to our look behind the scenes. So, thank you, Wolfgang Petersen. Thank you, Jürgen Prochnow, for coming. I'm Ortman Feyermuth, the director's cut producer, and I did not have the great pleasure of being at the location and there during the production originally. So, I'm just as everybody else here, very, very interested in hearing what you have to say about how this all came along and how difficult it was to put this incredible movie together.
Okay, so first of all, I think it's fun, Jürgen, don't you think, to sit here now,
Oh
like
yeah,
15,
it's
16 years later,
very exciting, I must
and
say.
watch it with you at home now, watch the film again one more time,
Holding hands here.
yes, and go through a few things. First of all, I think the shot that comes up next, and that's the first shot in the movie when the submarine comes in, that was an underwater shot we did in the tank in Munich, and it was a model. And so maybe a little disappointing for you guys now to know it was a very small model. I think it was about, I think like 2 or 3 meters kind of model.
Yeah.
Was it
Don't know
9
exactly the size, but I was never really totally happy with the shot. You see how it comes out of this murky greenish water. I wanted to go all the way over our heads, and I think we shot it like, I don't know, like 50 times over weeks and weeks, and we never really got it all the way. So you see, when the boat comes closer now, this is all pretty good and pretty mysterious, and so, and with music, I think it works fine. But I would just like to have it a little longer than, the cut comes right now, and I would have loved to go all the way over our heads, but it never worked that way. So it's,
deep enough, or
no, it didn't look right. It looked fake from this moment. And here, there you go, it's over. So that was a little bit of shame, but there are better things to come, I think. So,
well, I still think it's a great shot.
well, yeah, I mean, I'm talking now about perfection, what we this is a new scene, and we will talk later about why did we add scenes. And so this I always liked, and it was not in the original movie, is when the Captain Jürgen and the chief engineer there and the war correspondent who sits next to Jürgen there, the young guy, when they drive on the evening before they go out on that
Last
trip.
evening.
Yeah, when they then go to that bar, and we did not put that in the movie originally, but now it's in, and we shot that all. That's interesting. It was just one take. We shot because of the weather situation, everything. We had cameras everywhere, like one camera, as you see inside the car. We had one camera outside the car for this shot here, right?
Oh,
Then another hidden camera, you can see it there, what's looking through the windshield, and then a camera where the guys were out there, and for a wide shot. So we shot it all in one go, and
incredible.
yeah,
Uh-huh.
and that time we had to really watch the money very carefully, and we time was everything, so we did that, and that's a little peeing business here.
The
And
fire drill.
yeah, that
Was
in
that
the,
already when we came the second time to La Rochelle, or was it the
no,
first?
first time. By the
That was
way,
the first
there
time.
was not real thing. There were all little hoses. There were in there.
They didn't have as much power. I figured that.
It was not the real stuff.
So okay, now we are in the bar. This whole bar sequence, Bar Royale, also is a little bit longer than in the movie. Especially, I'm very happy that we did not have in this version to put credits, titles over this. Remember?
Yeah,
in
that
the
was
film version. Ah, boy, because we had to squeeze it so hard in the film to get it all in, and so we had to put titles over these shots. And now look, it's Jürgen in all his glory. Boy, you look great that time.
Years back,
So, and so now it's boy, it's a great quality I see here.
Yeah, it's in pretty high definition.
Yeah, it's
picture.
beautiful. It's beautiful.
Now this is at Bavaria Studios, right? The total-
Right.
This is
Yeah.
back in Munich.
Well, yeah, Jürgen, remember.
That was shot in the Bavarian studios, but in general, we were shooting in continuity. But this scene was not shot in continuity. It was towards the end of the shooting. It was almost one of the last scenes we were shooting, as far as I remember.
Yes.
And it was in the Bavarian studios. And I remember there was a big discussion going on whether we should shoot this scene at all or not. I remember producers and other people, a lot of them were voting for not shooting it at all. They were saying it's not necessary for the movie. Remember that, Wolfgang?
I actually don't. I really, are you sure about that?
Yes, I'm absolutely
Well,
sure
I
about
just,
this, yeah.
just.
I mean, maybe there were rumors between us actors, because we were overtime already for a couple of months, you know.
Oh, these kind of things always come. That they don't say, "Do we really need it?" But I think it was not really serious. But in any event, it was a great set built by the
Yeah.
great German designer Rolf Zehetbau, who built not only the submarine and all the models and submarines and all, together with his colleague Götz Weidner. But it was also this great set here. And I'm still stunned by the quality. It looks so
It's so
perfect,
crystal,
clear,
right.
absolute clear. I will have a screening room in my house, a video screening room with a video screen on. That's perfect for this,
This
you
is
know,
gonna be perfect
laser
sound,
disc, and
yeah.
then on the screen on the wall with the THX sound and everything would be just beautiful. Okay, so that was the Bar Royale scene. We extended that a little bit. For example, when soon now the first officer comes, his speech now here, this guy who is a little bit that, you know, youthful sort of pro-Nazi kind of guy. His speech is a little longer because we had introduced in the beginning the thing with the drunken sailors, you know, peeing all over the car. We could of course then have his thing when he says, and by the way, on the way here, you know,
Unbelievable.
yeah, they did something unbelievable, you know, here, what he says here right now. That's new. That was not in the movie.
Quite outrageous. They
And it's
stopped
actually
the
funny, gets allowed.
Yeah, it's funny.
initiated, you mean?
So
Exactly. Me too.
they pissed. Okay.
Now this was, I believe, in the British version, so it had to be television fine, so to speak. I think they said something else, like they initiated you or something. I think they couldn't say that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And another interesting detail, talking now about what really happened behind the scenes, is if you see now this great German actor, Otto Sander, who now comes into the door, who plays Thompson.
This one here.
If he looks, he's really drunk. I can tell you who he was. Great acting, but boy, was he drunk.
Oh my God. I had to hold him always in every shot, you know. I was afraid he was going down.
He is a great actor. He's
Yeah.
one of these great stage actors in Germany. So, but it's a great scene. I think he was wonderful. This scene was in the movie, of course, and
Abstaining?
This was also totally remixed, I think, for this director's cut.
well, everything was the whole sound was totally redesigned. I mean, we kept the dialogue, we kept the Foley's, you know, the footstep, all these things what you add later, but the rest, all the sounds were on digital sound. Everything was done again, and I mean what you can do nowadays, and that was one of the reasons I was so interested to get back into the experience of a director's cut, is because what you could do with the sound, because you can separate now the sound so perfectly that you, when you put things in the surround and left and right and middle and all that, it's much better than what you could have done 15 years ago. So I think that is a great improvement, not necessarily for a scene like this, but later we will see. We will really see what it means, you know, to have this new sound on it. So here he is, our drunken guy.
Yeah, there was, I think, a difficult translation
Yes.
job that they had to do, because the German kind of doesn't translate into anything. So I think they made Churchill and the cigars up there
Uh-huh.
instead of sending him down looking for. Now comes up this
Yeah.
incredible shot then.
This is our war correspondent, played by Herbie Grönemeyer. And he became a very famous rock musician in Germany afterwards.
Yeah, he's like the
He
German.
portrayed Lothar Günther Buchheim, actually the guy who wrote the novel,
The
and the correspondent, and who experienced it all.
He is a rock. He's like a Bruce Springsteen of Germany right now.
Yeah.
He's a big star. It's funny that that was his career after this, not becoming more of a famous actor, but it's a rock star, a singer. And this guy here, Klaus Wennemann, who just left, the engineer, that was interesting cast also, because we waited for a very last second, so to speak, to cast this part, because I was never happy with all the actors we had. And finally, Jürgen came up with the idea of Klaus Wendemann,
Mhm.
who was a stage actor and
A friend of mine.
yeah, a friend of Jürgen's, and he did this was his
Long-time
very
friend.
first
Movie.
film
Really?
ever.
Yeah.
He would
Yeah.
never worked in
Yeah.
front of a
Yeah,
camera
incredible
before.
performance.
And after that, also became like many others a big star in Germany
Yeah.
on television. He became a huge star. Here, this scene, here he was totally drunk.
I mean,
he
we were
didn't
shooting
know-
for a couple of days.
He would
I
not
mean,
even know what
Imagine the
movie is
amount
in.
of alcohol
You
he was drinking.
This scene is interesting because this is all done in one continuous shot, right? So in the beginning, when I came on that day into the set, I thought maybe I shoot this whole in like 24 different setups or 48 with all quick cuts and so. And then finally, I said to Joost Pocano, the cinematographer, why don't we do the following? We rehearse this scene all day long, like 8 hours or so, every detail, every movement, everything. And then we shoot it just in one shot. And no, well, no, not really. Yeah, and then we shot it all in one shot, and I think it was the right thing to do. It becomes so exciting, to see sort of moving the camera and the choreography of all these actors and everything. I think it's one of my favorite shots in the movie.
That's incredible. It never stops.
Yeah,
goes
it
all
never
the way.
stops.
Yeah, it never stops. It's just that little quick cutaway, but that only we did that because of make a little emphasis. We shot it in one.
Right, right.
So-
and you can tell because you can.
And Joost had this great camera system. We will talk about it later when we are on the submarine, what camera he used. And that camera also was great for this, because we didn't use Steadicam. Steadicam existed already in 1981.
It did exist.
Yes,
Ah.
but we had our own system. But we'll talk about that later. If you think he's drunk here,
It's true.
he is.
He
He
still
will-
is.
He will have fun to see this Laserdisc version in English if he gets it. Okay,
yeah.
now next thing, the pen. Now look at the next cut because it's a trick. So if you think we have so many submarines, we only had one. And that's the one in the background. In the next shot, if you look very carefully, you still won't see it. But I can tell you what. There's a hidden cut. And that makes out of one submarine three. It's coming now. So you see the submarine here. That's our one submarine we had. Now, when you see this wielding guy in the foreground, there's a hidden cut in it, so that we then did the same move again and put our submarine here. In
So
this.
in that flame.
Yes.
Yeah, it's
yeah.
a cut.
There's
So,
the cut
and there you
in
see
between, yeah.
is
The second
the
one.
next submarine.
By
And
now we
actually-
we've seen four. Yeah.
Yeah, by now I think we've seen four, so but only we have one. And believe it or not, this one, of course, what you see now,
That was my last shot of the movie. I remember that.
yes,
On the set.
this is the same
Yes.
submarine.
9th of June, 1981.
Yes. That little
Backyard
close-up
of
we just
Bavarian Studios.
we didn't do that in France.
Yeah.
This here,
Yeah.
the whole submarine pen here, the bunker, is in La Rochelle. It's the real bunker that is there and will be there forever because the walls are, I think, like 6 meters
Of concrete.
of concrete. You cannot destroy it. That was the idea when they built it.
Yeah.
That it's so you cannot destroy it. And they were built for the submarines by the Germans when they occupied France in 1941. So we used it. And by the way, the same thing was used, by the way, also our submarine was used by Steven Spielberg when he was shooting Raiders of the Lost Ark in La Rochelle.
Yeah.
They were shooting there also in that pen, and they borrowed our submarine for the film.
Before we were shooting, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And they did something to it, but I will come to that later.
Now this is you were twice in La Rochelle, and this is the first time or is this the second?
That's the first time.
It was the first time?
Yeah, because the
What-
sun is still
What did we do the second time?
all
The later stuff?
Yeah, the
Like
later
years
stuff.
ago,
Yeah, yeah.
because we shot it sequence.
Yes. Yeah.
And so that we could really see these people
Yeah.
growing the beards and the hair, and so that it would have been much more real to do it like that instead of doing all this makeup, like gluing beards on and all that kind of thing. So that was great. Also for our own sort of growth, for our own sort of getting more and more into the experience of this journey, was very good to shoot it in sequence. So now we cut another interesting thing. This is La Rochelle, the harbor, and that is when we shot it in 1980, harbor with all modern ships. We got all these modern ships out.
Oh, it's used as a harbor now.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
it is. It's a La Rochelle harbor,
I see.
and so you see in the wide shots, you see it looks like 1941, and it was a huge effort for us to pull all these ships out and get rid of modern cranes and all that kind of thing. Because at that time, it was not the time of computer graphics, as you know. We couldn't just say, okay, we
dig it
wipe
out.
it out electronically or so. We couldn't. We had to really move these ships out.
Why is that smoke there? I've always been wondering. Is that-
To hide a modern thing.
Oh, really?
Yes, there's something wrong
Ah.
there. So we had to put it in, so to hide it. That's what we
Look,
Look,
did.
he's sober.
Here he's sober.
But you blew it up, didn't you?
A little bit,
Yeah.
yes. And by the way, that little close up here was done in Munich, also not in La Rochelle, because originally we had a different actor for this part. And then we shot him already in
Right,
La Rochelle.
yes.
And then we had to replace him because for reasons I actually don't remember why we had to replace him, but Otto Sander took over. And I think the reason was the other guy was always
He
drunk.
was busy. Even more, he was
Thank
busy.
you.
Okay,
So in the boat.
in the boat, first time now in the submarine here. And this shot, of course, is for the audience to really get an introduction into the world of submarines. And so we try to really, again, with almost no cuts in it, to really go give a tour through the boat.
And it's a great device, I have to say,
Yeah.
from an audience standpoint to get it.
Yeah, look at that.
Yeah, to
bathroom.
get the feeling,
Yeah,
what
even-
it was like, right to begin with.
Yes.
I mean, I remember the first time stepping into this one, I thought I wouldn't survive there a day or two inside. It was just for 2 hours. But then we were shooting there for a year, so I mean, it was quite something, I must say.
Now the question probably what you would now say a year of shooting.
Yeah.
It was really a year because
Yeah.
altogether we were doing a 6-hour version for television, and that was the reason that we had,
Yeah,
had
6
such a
months.
long time in shooting time.
I have seen the boat now on site in Munich. It is still part of the studio tour. And I'm stunned. It looks actually much larger in here than it is. And there's
That's
no,
true.
no
Yeah.
removable walls or anything.
Yeah.
on it, right? This
Well,
is really-
theoretically, yes, but also we will probably talk a little later about that. Americans already were involved in the late 70s to try to make the film Das Boot, and they originally started to build this big submarine here, the set, so to speak, but with removable walls. And when we then came in and did it, and we came up with the idea of just closing it again and just never open it, to that we were forced, like in shots like this, to go with the camera with the actors always within the confinement of this boat, so that the audience gets much better the feeling of the narrow space, of the claustrophobic feel of it. I think that was a very wise decision.
People were always asking about the food that was hanging around in the boat, and that was true because there was no space for anything there. It was a weapon, and it wasn't built for people. This thing, and in peacetime they went out with a crew of 24, and in wartime it was double, so it was 48 people on board of this weapon in a way, and there was no space for anybody in there. And in addition to that, they had to put the food away for such a long journey, which lasted for something like 9 weeks or something in average.
So this here, yeah, this is our real boat. I
Yeah.
mean, we had an exterior for exterior shooting, a real submarine, not a real submarine. I mean, a full length boat we built. Inside, it was just empty, just the engine to drive it, and but the exterior was a full length, real replica of the boat, and this is what Spielberg used for Raiders. And this is where he unscrewed a little thing. And we will come to that later when we see the shot, what happened to it. So this was a great thing. It only was good for like weather like this, where no big waves and no storm, because it was a very delicate boat. It was put together by 3 huge pieces, were built in Munich, then put on huge trucks and being transported to France, to La Rochelle. And there they put it together with bolts, put it together. And later on, we will see in the scene when we had that bad luck with that boat, that it separated where it would put together
Those
and-
parts.
Yeah, those parts, and it was a little stormy weather, and we were frenetically pulling the boat into La Rochelle Harbor, and parked it where we ever did it, so to speak, in our little bay there. And there's a lighthouse, and this guy always sees the boat sitting there for the night. And he called me the next morning and said, "Mr. Peterson, Didn't you park your boat there last night, like always? I said, of course we did. And he said, there is no boat. So it was gone. It was overnight when the storm was coming, increasing storm was coming. The boat was being torn to pieces apart and sank. It was gone. So that was the biggest nightmare in the entire production. We had to finish, close down there in France, had to go back to Munich, and had to think about what to do with the rest of all these scenes we had to shoot. So, and then finally they found pieces of the boat and put it back together. Like we had, like they on these shores of France, they around La Rochelle, they found these pieces, put it back together. So 2/3 of the boat we could put back together, and then the rest we did with some wooden things and so on, and shot. The ending of the movie, we'll come to that at the end, was done with that sort of crippled boat.
It was
The
convenient.
other stuff was convenient, yeah. The other stuff was done with models, and we always joked that we said that Steven Spielberg did something to the boat to
But
give us some problems.
the whole production was in big danger, wasn't it? I remember we had to go back to Munich and
Oh, yeah.
continue shooting in
We
the,
were not
the
sure if we had a
studios.
movie at all.
Yeah, because we didn't know whether we could continue at all and do the rest of the footage that we needed. I remember that was a big thing, and all.
But I see, Otwin, you have a question here.
No, I was just. No, there was one of my favorite scenes when he can't get rid of his fork anymore. There's always, I seem to have discovered little things that you put in there to make people laugh who look very close.
Yes,
Gotta
well,
be
you
done.
need a little bit humor in a tense story like this, I think. And um, well, that's the control room here. That's where, the main drama takes place. And there's
It looks incredibly detailed. I mean,
it is. I mean, Seat Bauer, there is that boat in Chicago in the museum, and that's the only seven sea boat, and this is a seven sea boat that's left in the world. What's in one piece and totally intact, and that's in Chicago,
505.
in the Chicago Museum. And there we went and copied every detail of it. But you see every single screw and build it from scratch again. And it's, where you see it's metal, it is
It's
metal.
solid. Yeah.
It's solid.
Yeah.
Everything, every detail. We were obsessed with it. And I think you feel that in the movie, the same kind of detail. You go for the tiniest detail and make it right and feel right. That's sort of the spirit of the entire production, and that you feel that, and you feel like it's a real submarine, and you are there. So I think that is one of the reasons that the film is so successful and works, because of the sense for detail.
Now, the one that we just saw go under, was that the same? That was yet another model.
That's
was
a model. That was
another
our
one, yeah.
that's our 11 meter. 1:6 we found out is a good scale. I mean, if you on water, if you have a model that is 1/6 of the real size, in our case about 11 meters, that is perfect. Then you still don't feel that the water drops, and so are too large. So you just get away with it. And if you then over crank it, meaning that you shoot, and I think we were shooting like 55 frames per second instead the usual 24, then the boat gets the heaviness you need, yeah, to make it
Half as fast.
here. It's double as fast. I mean, it's like 55 frames or so, but it slows down the movement and makes it heavy again. So that's, and the big advantage 1:6 means also the waves, and we'll see that later in the storm scene, especially the waves then also are 6 times as big as in reality. So you can make gigantic, great storm sequences.
That was a small one again, right? Though
That is a smaller one. When we go underwater in the tank, we couldn't use the huge one. The huge one, I mean the 11 meter. In the tank, we had all kinds of, from very little, like a meter, to 3 meters or something like that. I think we had 3 or 4 different sizes,
Oh, okay.
and that we did all that tank work in Munich with these models.
Maybe I should say that we were trained like submariners before we started shooting. We had to exercise in the Bavarian studios and that replica of a sub in the Bavarian studios, because you see all the people now in here. And right, very soon the first drill is starting, and then you'll see how people move and that. And we had to learn all this. We had 2 guys. One, he was an officer on that type of a boat for 7 years, and he was there every day. and the other guy was an engineer, and he went also during World War II on a sub like that for 6 or 7 years, and they knew every detail, and we could ask them every question, and we did, of course, and they told us what to do and how to do everything, and they were the real experts, and they were there every day, and we could ask every question, and they had every answer for us.
It was
So
interesting because what Jürgen just said about the sort of special discipline of World War II in 1941 on a submarine, in reality, what a bunch of guys we had there. These people, especially if I look at these guys here. Not so much these two. These are more the senior guys, but the others, boy, they were all sort of between 18 and 24, something like that. And they were a wild bunch, I can tell you. And they were heavy into partying and boozing and everything. Whatever bad you can think of, they did. And now for them to get trained as German submariners in the war and discipline, it was a fascinating experience to see that how they later on became these soldiers.
Yeah.
And when we had the opening of the movie, the premiere in Germany, in Munich, and we saw then this sort of total realistic feel of the film and the boat and these people that really like taken right out of 1941. And then when the film was over and all these kids, like this guy was writing there and that guy, came on the stage, to get their applause. You saw these sort of long-haired kind of hippies or still hippies or whatever you call them, this wild mix of people. People couldn't believe it, that these were the same guys.
Yeah, I understand Martin, the second officer, drove into in La Rochelle, drove into the bar with his motorcycle.
Oh, yeah.
Didn't want to park it outside.
I told you they were wild. A wild bunch.
And he had a couple of close-ups the next day. I remember that. He looked like the elephant more than the second officer.
Yeah, we will come to that scene.
Yeah.
So where we see his face.
Yeah.
And I can show you that, but you better don't look too close. And if you have a laser disc, what I hope, then you maybe stop there and have a closer look.
See?
So this is the sweet scene with Ullman, the guy with that French girlfriend. And we spent more time in that long version, thank God. I mean, the whole idea, and let's now talk a little bit, Jürgen, about it, and Otvin, about why the long version. It always bothered us very much. I remember the long faces on these on our actors.
The single characters.
Yeah, when we had the opening of the film, of the movie in 1981. And so much great stuff we shot was not in the film, and a lot of disappointment. But it's not only the disappointment because they all were not, in the film or not long enough. It was really for telling the story. Something was still for us who knew the real story of this boat was missing. And now we had a chance to put it, most of it back in. Let's at least in a balance where I think it's now pretty perfect. Meaning we can spend more time with these people.
Yeah, the impact is so much.
I think in scenes like this, for example, I mean, this scene was in the movie, but I mean, follow-up scenes later on with him, with the letters and all that, I think adds a lot to the depth of the film. It adds a lot to the emotional involvement if you know
Definitely,
these people better.
yeah, because you know them better and you feel far more for them.
Yeah,
And,
no, I really have to.
so the whole impact is much
So
broader.
now, for example, here, you remember this scene was in the movie. And the scene before we saw, and they saw what they call, it's funny, called the officer's mess.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the tiny, tiny little room
Yeah.
where they sit. It's all absolute the right measurement. I mean, that's as small as it really is. And this scene was in the film, but the scene before the first one was not. So I think because I love these scenes so much. Yeah, I love these scenes so much between them here on that, these 5 people in the officer's mess. And I think in the original film, Jürgen, we had maybe like 3 scenes, and now we have 6 or so.
Yes.
So of these scenes. So that I think
It helps a lot, of course, for the introduction of the characters and about the situation as well. I mean, they're talking about politics here, and it's very dangerous to say something because, I mean, it was very, very risky to say something against the regime. And, if you did, there could be somebody to report you back to Germany.
it's a very typical situation.
That's
People ask me, a lot of people ask me, and press people ask me, so is that really true that that, like Jürgen's character here, would say something like this on a submarine, and it is. I mean, they were famous for being pretty independent.
The submarine.
Yeah, these guys in the German submarines, and also um, on ships and so, but
The Air
especially
Force also, yeah.
and Air Force
Yeah,
also.
all
Yeah,
the-
yeah.
yeah.
And so it's a pretty realistic description, I think, of what was the reality on these boats. And so, uh,
They were able to say that, yeah.
yes, they were superstars.
Yeah, they
I
were
mean,
the
they-
heroes of the nation for a while.
Absolute, yeah.
Right to begin with, they were so successful.
And then we see now the shot on the boat where it separates a little bit.
Yeah.
If you really would careful when they sing the Tipperary song,
Uh-huh.
what was also a cocky kind of thing to do, just sing the song. for the
British
enemy,
song.
you know. I love that. I
Yeah,
think it's,
Hitler used to do it. That's
Yeah,
very
yeah.
funny.
so if you now see the exterior shot of the boat, of our full-length replica, you see that there a little line, you see where it started to separate. And that's exactly 1 minute after what we pulled the boat back into the harbor, and then the disaster happens. Have a look. Right after this.
Hey, now we are in the Royal Navy.
No,
Yeah,
I even don't
people sing
remember it
now.
right. They sing first, of course, and then we see the can.
They go outside.
Yeah, when they go outside, yeah. And these actors are on the boat were really in danger because we thought, Jesus, the boat will go down any second. So here, you see that? So there's a little line in the first, after the first third,
Yes,
where you see it started to separate a little bit.
right.
So if people are able to stop the film there and have a look, that's exactly where it started to separate.
So then you turn around right away. Pull
Right
it
away,
back.
pulled it
Right
back,
away,
and the
yeah.
next morning it was gone.
I always thought you pushed the envelope a little.
Well, so this is a little dirty stuff here, what we like.
It's actually pretty nice.
Yeah.
Like how those guys
Yeah.
talk back
By the
then.
way, in that television version, the very long version, the 6-hour version, was a lot of much more real dirty stuff in it. What kind of at that time in '81 we could get away with, and it was sort of funny, but I didn't like it anymore, so I didn't put it back in for this version. It was going a little too far. This is the '90s. Let's face it.
A lot of former Wehrmacht people in Germany, they were furious about this. They said an officer or a soldier, a German soldier, didn't speak like that. There was a lot of things going on about this in Germany, I remember. But Buchheim said it was like that. And a lot of submariners said it used to be like that. They were
This is
talking.
the
about
scene,
it,
for
you know.
example, also you.
Yeah.
That was not in the film.
Yeah.
This whole sequence here. But I think it's great because it shows that ridiculous life on board of these submarines. You know, with all sit there on this cramped space and imagine the smell. Jeez. And he's right now, I think, getting a feeling for that.
Yeah,
That's-
because these are sub commissioned officers, like I said.
Yeah, they were
A little
sharing.
rougher than he's used to, maybe.
Right.
Two people were sharing one bunk, and then only the captain had one for himself.
Yes, they all had
Yeah.
to switch in their
Yeah, yeah.
watches, get
Yeah.
out of bed. The next guy comes in,
Comes in and sleeps.
and
there,
then
yeah.
sleeps there for 4 hours or 6 hours, whatever the watch was, and then the next,
next
guy
one
comes
is-
in. Imagine, you know,
It's 2 or 3 per bunk.
Yes.
yeah, imagine the smell. You know, it's terrible. So
Boredom.
boredom. That's another thing. Now we had really now the time to deal with that, because life on a submarine in these days was not all the time super action and suspense going on. It was most of the time pure boredom, where nothing happens. There was just looking out, waiting in that gray nothingness of the water and the horizon to find a ship and to see the enemy. And it's a huge, the Atlantic, to find these ships. And then what later on comes in the movie, also some complaint about bad management meaning for what they did from Berlin or whatever via radio to send the boats to the right place. A lot of messy things going on. And so to show also life this terrible boredom, and that they were just sitting and hadn't really time to build their aggression because of nothing happens. I think that's much better now in this version.
Yeah, you really feel when they find the frustration, and when they then finally find the first convoy, they're like all so excited.
Right.
And I think it's very interesting as well. Those boats, they couldn't dive very long. They were built like boats on for the surface. They were run by diesel engines, and when they were and the diesel engines were reloading the batteries. So that when they were diving under the water, they could, I think, go in average speed. Maybe it's something like 10, 12 hours, and then they had to go back to the surface again.
And underwater, they went with an electric.
Yes,
motor.
they had the batteries, but with batteries, electric.
Motor.
Yeah. So
It's funny with that food here hanging.
there weren't
everywhere.
real submarines comparable to those now existing. The atomic ones.
Mm-hmm. To stay under.
Yeah, they stay
Months.
under for a month or years.
New course, sir.
So they are also again here, hoping that maybe something will happen. Maybe they
1 minute.
can get into action, and nothing really happens.
Yeah, looking for a convoy.
What's the signal?
By the way,
position, sir?
do you see that little under the lamp, that little mist there,
Yeah.
that little smoke?
You see that quite a bit. Yeah.
Yes, we did that in every single shot here, in every single scene inside the submarine. We put some little haze and little smoke, and we also sprayed the walls and everything just a little bit. You see that little wet feel
We're
around,
always wet.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So it always gives you it gives you more the feeling of the boat is sweating and the boat is smelling, because it would be in reality from the engines and so always
From
a
the
little
diesel.
bit. Yes.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
So frustration here. Damn this waiting.
So if I get that right, you put the actors into a metal tube that you made humid and stinky.
Yeah, you give the audience the feeling that that's exactly
shaky.
what it is. This is an interesting shot now because you see how in the what we call in German the Bug round, where they have the torpedoes, and look what a huge things they are, and they have to always sort of put some how do you say whatever Vaseline kind of stuff on it, yes, and to be prepared for the shot. And you imagine here the smell and the sweat and everything, and this guy, the war correspondent, making these shots. I think he's not very popular at this very moment doing this.
You stay here in the foreground.
Say in the beginning, it's the last thing we need.
Yes.
Have fun again with
Whoops. I like that.
Yeah.
Uwe Ochsenknecht, this actor here, he's a big star now, a big movie star also in Germany. I would say most of them, Jürgen, right? Like
Yeah.
first of all,
Yeah.
5, 6,
A lot.
7
Yeah.
are big stars in
Yeah.
Germany now. We talked about him being the rock star, and we'll come to others.
Now, at the beginning of the trip, there always would be even tighter inside because they still had all the torpedoes, right?
Yes.
Because at some
Yeah.
point
They
guys
wanted to
said,
get
"Let's
rid of them
some
as soon as
rid of them
possible. Yeah, as well, because there was no
This
space
shot,
for them
we
to
put
sleep.
the sun in.
You put it in.
Yeah, the sky is from a different shot. We married it together.
Oh, here's another one that I
Yeah.
think did you add this in the?
No, it was in the film. It wasn't the film. One of my favorite scenes because
Jokes,
it's so absurd. It's so absurd what he is doing there. And that really, if you say something like that, it's really, it's not much brain left.
Borderline.
Yes, it's borderline. It's really, you have to go into action soon, otherwise you go crazy.
Tell me now,
And
you got any hairs up your
It's
nose?
the haze again, right?
yeah, the
We're
haze,
talking
it's
about
always like that. And also we should talk a
Okay,
little bit
so
about, you see the movement of the lamp and everything.
Maybe
The
you
boat
could
was
put it
slightly
again.
moving like what it would do in reality because we had that Whippler.
Mm-hmm.
Not
the
to begin with.
gimbal.
We should talk about that as well,
Mm-hmm.
because I remember we were shooting scenes without it, but
Mhm.
maybe we come to this later a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
and we didn't have the Whippler yet.
Uh-huh.
And then
Sometimes we had to just move,
yeah,
with little
Yeah.
strings, and so we
Yeah.
have to move these things.
Yeah.
But then when we had
strings
the
and yeah,
when we
Yeah.
had the Whippler and the gimbal where we could put the boat on and
Yeah.
move the whole boat, we could get great effects with that.
Right.
For example, you see that his nose is sort of going in, right?
Yeah.
That is probably what's done probably in the gimbal. So now we see finally some action going on here in the middle of the night.
He's like putting his pants down.
There's a shadow up here until start.
Yeah, he just woke up. Yeah.
Just to this drill.
Stern planes up easy. Power planes down 10. Planes on 0.
So and now we introduce here, that's Hinrich,
On the starboard
the
beam.
guy who always listens to
From
these,
Hiller's sounds.
to the
Sonar
sound.
man.
yeah, the sonar man. He became a big star also in Germany. He's a great
Right.
actor, great actor. And they all basically started with this boat. I was very, they're
Yeah.
all very young, and look at these faces, and great guys.
That's a famous shot of Yuri.
Yes.
Way aft of us.
Because sound is everything on a sub. You cannot see, Only sounds.
Contact growing fainter.
That guy Hinrich, the guy with the sonar, who
The
always,
Sonderman?
yeah,
Mhm.
always listens. He became a big star in Germany too. Like so, young, like most
Yeah,
of them really
yeah.
became big stars in Germany
Yeah.
now. But they all started with Das Boot when they were so young.
Maybe we should say something about the beards, because we were shooting in continuity. That was the real growth of the beards then. And
Mhm.
we had a period of shooting, I remember, in La Rochelle, because we had to go back and forth to the studio, where we couldn't do this. And then in La Rochelle, we had to get up at, I don't know, 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, and it took 2 hours to do the beard. And
It still looked awful.
and it still looked awful, And then we were shooting outside there. I remember that, and tons of water were coming over us. And then the beard was gone, and he had to redo it again on that little boat we were
And
using
everybody
for.
was seasick.
And
then.
everybody got seasick because it was not big storm, but it was rocking that boat. And doing that with the hot scissors, doing the beard there, it was a special skill anyway.
Should take the utmost care in dress and personal appearance. It denotes that the inner man is wholesome and upstanding, has a corresponding effect on other people.
You know, it was done in 81, 80, 81, and it looks like such a big movie. What was the budget? I mean, what did it cost? That time, and so this is what it was. For the entire version, the long version, the TV version with the 6 hour, it was roughly 32 million Deutschmarks.
Mhm.
That is,
No,
in
man.
today's exchange rate, I would say it's something like 25
Well,
25 million dollars, something like that. So
Yes.
if you take out
20.
the part of the TV, but just go with a movie, I would say 12, 15 million dollars, something like that.
Because you shot it all on a full theatrical schedule.
Like
Right?
Yes.
It was all like a
Yeah.
6-hour epic, basically. You didn't move up television parts. You were
Oh, no,
always-
no, no, absolutely.
So full theatrical.
So it
shooting
was,
schedule.
I mean, because all these guys were no stars then. We didn't get any money, including myself, just little. I mean, nothing like Jürgen now is getting gigantic.
A lot more. They cheated on me.
But at that time, it was peanuts for all of us. So that kept the budget nicely down.
So it's all on the screen. Yeah.
It's basically all on the screen. So it was, I don't know if you would do a film like this today in Hollywood with Hollywood standards, and let's say with a big major star who gets $20 million or something like that,
It's like Waterworld,
you would
200 million.
probably talk about way over 100 million.
Yeah. For a
Way
year of shooting.
Way over. No, I'm not talking even a year of shooting. You cannot even imagine that. But let's say a normal feature film, 2.5 hours length with a big superstar. So we are here back in our favorite place where the officers mess. This is a scene that was not in the film.
No.
This is new.
This is very fun.
Where with the where they always try to get a lot of juice, lemon juice, and have
That's for the gums, right? Yeah.
yes, and frustration again.
Our recent
It's one of these scenes I really like now to have that in the film because it shows what I said before. It shows this frustration of waiting and circling around and nothing happens and it seems all senseless and but in the reality it's on the other hand it of course prepares them to be even more like hungry wolves as they go to battle.
Yeah, and there's nothing heroic about it. I mean, that is very important, to see, and that's why it's in the book also very interesting and in the movie as well. We have back here part of the.
So
Oh.
finally now the movie explodes kind of we
Yeah.
go into action and something happens and now we see these exterior shots on the boat. That was our 11-meter boat. And now let's talk a little bit about this. This was all done in the North Sea around the island of Helgoland, northern Germany. And we had two pre-production sort of second unit work was to be done. But when I was there, no actors, but I was there. It was not really a second unit. It was like kind of a first unit, but no actors. And we were doing all these kinds of what you see right now, these kind of shots.
Now, on top there.
Yeah, wait. That's so interesting that we should spend some time with it. But let's first talk about the boat again. It is these 11 meters boat, the 1:6 scale boat I talked about. In one version, believe it or not, we had one stunt guy inside the boat. He was lying, and there was just that little space inside. He was lying inside the boat and steering the boat.
Oh my God.
Yes,
Did he have
and he-
oxygen or something? I mean,
Well,
something
yes, and he-
scuba diving equipped?
whatever. Yes, he had that, and he had a little TV monitor inside, so he could. Yeah, and there was a little hidden camera inside the tower,
Uh-huh.
looking ahead, so that this guy had know what to steer, and there was a little engine in it, and we watched it from the outside, and were scared about for him because it was. I mean, imagine that in these waves, and so this poor guy in that sardine can, sitting
This
there,
movie, right?
not seeing anything, just watching a video monitor, and then being tossed back and forth in these waves like this. Here, there was a guy inside. I mean, can you imagine that? Now, if you see that, you wouldn't
Not here.
believe it. You know,
It's a different shot.
not this one,
No.
but in the wide shot, in this one,
Yeah.
there's a guy inside steering this boat, and these people up there on the bridge, they are 30 centimeters high, 1 to 6, right? And I was in another boat on the there, and I had with a little remote, I could move them because they were designed to move. They could.
They would move.
Oh yeah, they could duck down when the waves crashing over and all the kind of things. There were little Barbie dolls we used. And
Uh-huh.
then we put, we didn't.
Took
le-
blonde
This was
hair.
shot in the
we took
studio.
something off, some breasts and stuff we took off, and made them into German submariners and soldiers. And but it's all true. This is not a joke. This is all true. And then they were the greatest actors. They never complained. They were just wonderful. And they were
That's the kind you
small.
like.
I love them. They were small. You could
No
put
per
it in your,
diems, nothing. yeah.
nothing. You could put them in your pocket after a day's work. They were great. Amazing stuff. If you finally later on talk about it and people, think that these were all real people up there, even though they weren't.
Uh-huh. Yeah, there's going to be scenes later where they're waving and stuff.
Yes, we will come to that
Yeah.
when the Thompson boat arrives. Yes, this is again our tank shot, done in Bavaria Studios. We had this outdoor tank where a special unit was shooting for weeks and weeks and weeks on all these underwater shots, including these very, very tricky, what we will see soon, depth charges, detonations,
Mhm.
where we really experimented a lot to get that across. How would a depth charge detonation explosion underwater look like? Because nobody has ever witnessed one, seen one. Who saw it is
Only
dead.
once, right?
Who saw one is dead.
Good
So cannot really talk about it. So we had to, just go with our imagination how to do that. We'll come to that.
Start playing.
So all this again inside the boat, this big sort of one-to-one normal size replica was done in Bavaria Studios in Munich.
Is a set built on the gimbal there.
Yes.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Most of the time we put the set on the gimbal, meaning the boat on the gimbal, and we could then move it around a little bit. And especially when we come to the scene in the storm, you can see how really worthwhile that was, how it paid off to make it feel real. And we also used the same gimbal for these big depth charge detonations.
I remember we started shooting the storm sequences without it. And then we saw the rushes. I'll never forget that. And
Yeah,
you
they
were
looked
pleased
pretty
with
stupid,
yes,
yeah.
yeah. We reacted to that. We had to as actors, and but it didn't look real. The whole thing. It didn't.
You were like throwing yourself
Yes,
into the deep
throwing
water.
ourselves, against the walls and stuff like
And
that.
Günter Rohrbach, the producer, the great Günter Rohrbach in Germany, this legend, the guy who came from television and also nurtured all our careers in Germany, the young directors in the 70s. He is the producer of this when he was the head of Bavaria Studios. But he still was sort of, when we started doing these movies, thinking we could do that for, like I said, a very small amount of money, and just instead of having big waves crashing over the tower, just do a few buckets with water and put it in the.
So what you're saying is he was a producer.
Yes. And at the end, he was facing a 32 million Deutschmarks kind of budget. It was hard, but I mean, at the end, with that huge worldwide success of the film,
proved everybody
yeah,
right.
it was right, and it all came back really with a great success financially, and also, with the critics and with awards and everything.
I think it was a week of footage or something like that. We did,
Incredible.
and we couldn't use that
Yes.
finally. So I mean, that's a big decision, and there's a lot of money involved.
Given that it's only
building
German,
that
yeah.
because it wasn't planned to begin
Right.
with, to build that Whippler there, and then all of a sudden,
And as a German language movie, you couldn't expect normally a worldwide success like this at all.
Absolutely not,
So it
because
was
it's
very
for
daring.
the outside world, it's an art film because of subtitled and just a limited audience, but because of
charges.
various reasons, the subject matter, World War II, the fascination of
It's an action movie.
submarines, action movie, and maybe because it's also a good movie, it kind of traveled around the world and was successful everywhere.
What's the bearing?
So this whole scene, by the way, again, was not in the film. And also, I'm very happy that we have now the chance to show much more these endless cat and mouse things, what they
Yeah.
were playing with these destroyers upstairs and trying to get away, and they follow, and then they make their little maneuvers to
Escape.
to escape or to attack. So this is in this director's cut version now really more closer to the reality. It was all in the film. It was all done more for a more an action kind of rhythm, and this now has more an epic feel to it. This film, and that's what I'm very pleased with. So if you see the outside shot of the boat again, think of the man inside the boat
So he was
Yes.
always in there.
who's steering the boat. Yes, in our very first pre-production second unit kind of work we did in Helgoland here, and they think again these are Barbie dolls on the top. This is not. This is Jürgen.
Yeah, this is Jürgen in full place.
Yes.
Really?
No, in the second phase we did, the second pre-production in Helgoland, we redesigned that boat and we took the guy inside out and we pulled the boat with another boat because it was just too much for this
You
guy.
had mercy for him.
We always, when we pulled him out of that boat after a couple of hours, he was green and he was vomiting. He had vomited all over himself, and it was just unbearable. I mean,
Glad it wasn't an animal because he would have been in trouble.
so no, we had a mercy then, and we said we cannot do that anymore. We have to do it differently. So the second time we were there for another 6 weeks of shooting or so, we just pulled this boat. And by the way, interesting here where we
This was shot in front in the Bavarian studio.
That- yeah. So let's go through that, Jürgen. You remember because you were fairly wet all the time, right?
Oh, what a job!
No, it was front projection. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Not rear projection. It was
No,
front,
front
projection. Means we were projecting it from the front onto the actors on a screen, and had it then all in the camera already. So nothing like today blue screen kind of thing.
Mhm.
That was basically unknown then.
Didn't exist yet.
Not really. And so we did a front projection, and it worked pretty
Steady
good.
at 2
It
But-
was difficult to achieve. I remember that. I remember that water,
Yeah,
coming
yeah.
on us tons and tons again
When we
and
come
again
to
and
the
again. Because
storm, we will
Yeah,
maybe
we'll
Jürgen
talk about it.
explain a little bit about
Yeah.
it. And also here, let's see what Jürgen sees now here through the periscope. That is also tank work we've done. And
Mhm.
if you say, "Well, Wolfgang, we see that," then I must admit maybe you see it a little bit. But what can I do?
That's what
Nowadays you
but-
could do it better. You could do it with computers. You could get it better. But what the hell? At that time we just we just did it in the conventional way.
You
this is a-
undercranked again? Or?
Well, we overcranked. You have to overcrank to make it appear
Right.
slower.
Uh-huh.
So, but by the end of this, you will know. that.
Okay, thank you.
You will not then ask that question over and over again.
Try at least.
Yes. So, we shot it in the tank. We overcranked, and this is not the famous shot. The famous shot
What?
comes later.
Yeah, but still.
This is half of it. This you see the water. If you really look careful, the water is a bit too much out of focus here in the beginning. So if you really know about these things, it's a typical model thing.
Yeah.
And you see that destroyer in the back was a model like 2-3
flat
meters
shield.
long model, and the sky is just this sort of a painted backdrop, at the far end of the
Mhm.
tank. And now you see comes that famous shot when the destroyer now comes all of a sudden very close soon and almost runs over the camera. That's a very typical situation that these destroyers sometimes when they knew where the boat was, when they maybe saw it just because here it's in the scene, it's a question.
Seen the periscope,
Yeah, why?
Yeah.
All of a sudden they'll see it right now.
and then sort of see.
The destroyer disappears, and then it shows up all of a sudden, very close and
Mhm.
almost runs over the submarine. That was very typical, right? They saw the periscope,
They would go
try to
straight
ram,
at it.
Yes.
try to ram the boat.
I had a lot of questions though, whether how likely that really was. That, but it must have been quite a bit that they lost track with this little periscope of a target that they had acquired. And
Yes, Well, yeah,
because
sure.
they were going under all the time. I mean,
Yeah,
flying
and
change.
you know, and the visibility is bad weather, you know, and easily that you get a little confused. Where is it now? And the destroyer maybe has changed its course dramatically, right? And then you take that little movie license, right? And to get a real nice surprise, and then there you go. So here they now wait for that attack. You know, incredible tension after all this waiting and waiting. It finally looks like they might get a shot off. And where is it?
Damn it.
No ship, no destroyer.
What happened to them?
And then when we now see the destroyer coming, it's a very risky shot because to go that close with the camera under the model, right?
Yeah,
it's-
right. That you were really in
It's
danger
a
there. I
close
can tell.
call,
Yeah.
and you only get away with it because you are pretty excited at this moment.
And you got to meet her halfway.
Yeah, here you go. Here you go. Wow. If that's not a model, I ask you, what's a model?
But the sound, I mean, blows you away in that moment. So
Yes.
forget
So
it.
here are the depth charts. You see this? I'm think it's pretty good work. These explosions were done. They're very small explosions. We did underwater, and in this sequence we don't see much of it. Later on, we see much more interesting shots of these depth charges. Explosions were done underwater in the tank. Fairly small explosion, but were shot like 1,500 frames per second. So not 24, but 15. So it's super, super, super high speed. And there you get
Really
these
tough.
weird, you know,
Colors and
yeah, strange
formations.
explosion movements of it. So
No serious
we
damage.
ended here in the movie. It was cut, and the next sequence started.
They must have spotted our periscope.
Control room all secure.
Seems incredible in the sea.
Okay, this is, of course, again our model boat underwater, and again you see it's a little bit of a model thing. I mean, the more I see it, of course, I see some of these weaknesses from today's point of view of filmmaking. But also, maybe it's kind of a charm the film has that it's a little.
It has never bothered me. I have
Yeah,
to say.
really? Well,
No, because you're so drawn into it that
No.
you fully go with it.
It's not that obvious. I mean,
well, that's fine.
compared
Then,
to
And then with every other element, the sound, the action, everything.
but imagine all this was not in the film. I mean, this, for example, I think it's a great sequence. I think it's great here, Jürgen. This deep concentration and
Figuring out which way to
figuring
turn
out
to
what-
get
which
away
way to
from the
go.
destroyer.
And they're all hanging on his lips, so to speak. What will he say now? And it's psychologically so fascinating to see. It all depends on what is the commander, is the captain, is he in control? Is he nervous or not? And if he's fine and if he looks like he is here in control, then the others are okay. So it's an interesting process, and that's also the reason why Jürgen played it like that. That every now and then he makes a little bit of a sarcastic joke or a little bit to ease the tension, and to give them the feeling, I'm in charge. I'm not afraid at all. How it looks like inside, you don't better ask. Better don't ask because of course it's a lot of acting going on. Jürgen, maybe you tell about the real commander, the real captain. Did you
yeah,
meet him?
I met him before we started shooting. He came with Buchheim, Lothar Günther Buchheim, the writer of the book, to the set one day. And there were like little boys going through that boat, enjoying it that much. I couldn't believe it. And I talked to him a little bit. He was a very nice man. And for me, I felt very honored to meet him before we started shooting. And it was quite an experience for me, I must say, to see the real thing. And it was interesting to watch the relationship between Lothar Günther Buchheim, now a very, very famous writer and collector of arts in Germany, and the former captain. And they had still the same relationship with each other. So he was still the boss, and the very famous writer now was still the little lieutenant. And they behaved like that because this captain saved the lives of all the people going with him on those journeys.
So now we are in the midst of this depth charge thing, and we just saw these explosions outside, And people always ask me, with what kind of camera did you shoot that, and how did that work? Actually, it was very small explosions. If you see them now here on the on the screen, and with the sound, it feels like big ones, but they were small. And again, we shot it like with 1500 frames.
Mhm.
And the cameras were just these sort of underwater cameras, and we had also some kind of a little chamber where we could be with with 2 or 3 people inside, and you could put it down on the bottom and shoot from inside with a thick glass kind of wall, and you could shoot out. So I could sometimes go down there and really watch it from there. It was quite interesting. Good way of doing that.
Like a dive
Yes.
device. Incredible.
Yes, exactly.
How deep was that basin?
It was not very deep. It was like maybe 5 meters or so.
Oh, right.
Not a big deal. So, and Jung was talking about, because you were talking about the wheel commander.
Yeah, this shot, for example, where all the people are in this compartment here, you cannot believe how narrow that was. There was no space for anybody, because imagine that the crew was in there as well, you know. You don't see the crew, of course, but there was another, I don't know, 10, 15 people maybe in there. And it's hard to believe that that all the people could be in the same compartment there. And they filled it with smoke every shot. And then they waited until it was the right moment to shoot. And then very often one of those lamps exploded, or there was didn't work or whatever. They had to redo it, and we were waiting to redo it. And it was so complicated to get the people in there and wait again until they were out there. Then it was refilled with smoke again, and so it took a lot of patience from everybody. You know.
Yeah, I mean, in a shoot like that and a film like that, you either after 2 weeks you kill
Each other.
or you
You're
just
really close.
you just really close and try to make it work and get together as a group, and you're more and more obsessed with getting through it, and it's an adventure by itself to make a movie like this. I must tell you.
Sometimes the crew was virtually sitting on each other's shoulders to do the shot, you know, because it wasn't opened up, the whole thing. It was so unbelievable. You know, and such a discipline from everybody. I mean, not only from the actors, from the crew as well, to do this.
Also the discipline of, because I asked all the actors not to go out in the sunshine, because we are shooting, of course, when we shoot a year, you always shoot all the way through the summer.
So throughout the whole period, they were
They were not allowed at all to go out into the sun, because I wanted to have these faces be really look like skin
Pale.
of people who are all the time in this wet, stinking boat and not out in the sun. And they all did that, and
There goes the vacation.
well, they all did that, and they, you know, what we later on throughout the movie, later on, especially in the movie, when you see that the skin, how the skin tone looks like, it was all basically real. We just added little things to it, but basically it was real. It was quite an experience, I think, for all of us to do this.
Deeper.
And
Stone up 15.
and now when we have the next big, you know, depth charge attack here,
Build it. Incredible.
Yes.
Close-ups.
here you see again these explosions. And this shaking, this is all real, because we had then the set submarine on this huge gimbal, and it was shaking like crazy. I mean, it was so scary to be there. I mean, you know, ask Jürgen about that.
Did
It
you
was
get hurt?
the fear you see in these faces, on these faces, and the panic. It really is, most of that really real, because it was so scary to be there. And how high was it? Like
I would say,
something
yeah,
like 6
5 meters. So
Yeah.
this is what.
pretty high in that the big stage 4 or 5
Yeah.
in Munich.
Yeah.
And then this thing would rock like crazy, and for the depth shot,
Going backwards and forwards, and also to the sides. I think it could do 45 degrees to each side.
yes, that's what we especially needed for the
That's why it has to be
storms.
so high.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why it has to be so high.
Exactly.
And then for the depth charges, we rocked it, and again, it was so
It was scary to be in there, and because I mean it was all real, it was all metal, and you really took better care of yourself when it was rocking or shaking, and you were thrown around and bang into other people or into instruments or stuff like that. So that was not easy.
So you see, this is so much more material here than in the original film. All this was not in the film, you know, and I think it's a great sequence of suspense and going back and forth and waiting and attacking.
on,
So
get
it's
it
just
over.
great.
There's like 6 people in the shot alone. It's
Yeah,
incredible.
Yeah.
yeah.
Remember that we had to reshoot this on you, Jürgen? Remember that?
No.
Yeah, we did.
Really?
Yes. It was a scratch in the negative.
Like,
And this great scene here on you, this angle.
No,
here.
I didn't recall that.
Yes, we had to come back and shoot it again. And that's always so frustrating if you had the feeling you had a great day and a
Yeah.
big sequence and
and
the main
material.
shot here on Jürgen, and you had to do it all over again.
Oh yeah.
So isn't that great if you can just work with faces? If you create all that suspense, all that
Nothing stronger than it.
Mm.
yeah, all this drama over just faces.
The arrangements are really there.
Yeah.
And here we put, you know,
Great, yeah.
his eyes. The computer made these eyes blue. They are in reality they are brown.
That is not true. I checked right now. It is
That
not
was
true.
done on another movie I did. On Dune.
No, that was a joke. This is, it was his real blue eyes.
22.
And also, you know, we see now here when he's counting,
Uh-huh.
The charges.
you see
Yeah.
the numbers.
you know,
The sound, yeah.
23.
Yeah.
They always put it. It looks so
Yeah.
old fashioned, so like 19th century.
That's what they did.
Yes, that's
Isn't it?
what they did.
Writing
They-
on the blackboard.
Yeah. Well, because wasn't it to check like the probable remaining firepower
Yeah,
from
maybe
the
they-
enemy?
they
or
would
something?
Oh yeah, they had to.
Saying,
Yeah, oh yeah,
yeah,
sure. for the-
23, maybe they have 2 more left or so, you know.
So now it's that great moment here when finally it looks like the destroyer is gone.
gone.
But
And then the
you never know.
Yeah,
So I
yeah.
think that's so interesting now in that long version. You can all tell the story. You can say, wait a moment, you know, now they have to wait there. They have to maybe sit underwater for another hour or so, and then slowly have a peek and look, and maybe they come up, and then they don't see anything what we see now later, and the enemy is gone, and then big relief. You know, that's all in that director's cut version now, and that I'm very happy about that we could do it.
I think that will be all this time. Silent speed.
Both main engines silent speed, 50 RPMs.
Both main engines indicate 50 RPMs.
All compartments report damage.
All compartments report damage.
Let's talk a bit about Ortwin. I mean, you were basically in charge of putting this whole director's cut together. Let's say you did all the hard work of going to Colombia and getting the money for it and all that, and also technically you did a lot of things here. For example, let's talk a little bit what happened to the picture, to the film, to the negative, and what happened to the sound. What did you find when you went with Hannes Nickel to Munich and all that? Let's first talk about what shape was the negative.
The negative was actually in surprisingly good shape, as we see now at this quality. But what we were very happy that we got the permission from Bavaria for is actually to go in and bring back the negative here to Los Angeles, which was a major action that Hannes and I undertook. Obviously, irreplaceable element, and to actually then recut it to your new cut here. And then with Jost Vacano, the cinematographer we spoke about earlier, re-answer printed it on the new stock of today, and that is also the big different element that we have now here that they then took and transferred from that interpositive, that new interpositive that came straight from the negative, onto these what they call now high definition transfers.
Is that so? Is that every single shot we see here is the original negative, or were some shots? I think there were some shots
there
we
was
couldn't find, right?
Yes, there were about 20 minutes of the negative that I had gotten lost, and it still.
How can
Really?
Yes, I know. It's,
How can it get lost?
you know, they
disappear?
checked when
They
I,
just threw it away, or
you know, when I showed up, they checked 10,000 cans overnight because I think they They wanted to make sure that this
Where was the negative?
unthinkable
But the
really
negative
had-
is
Where was
in
the negative?
some vault or somewhere.
at Bavaria in the bunker, and it was
Bavaria Studios
Bavaria
in Munich,
Studios in Munich.
in the vault.
In the vault, and it was very well kept otherwise, and it appears that something was checked out and
But 20 minutes missing.
The
20
negative of the
minutes.
long version, of the 6-hour
right,
version.
and not all of that.
Jörg,
However,
why did you take these 20 minutes?
Yeah, this is my secret, you know.
didn't like some of the scenes in there.
All those close-ups from the others, you know.
No, we did not use all the 20 minutes, of course, because there were only parts. But we were able, from an interpositive that we found in New York that had only been used once by Columbia, of the long version,
Okay.
which was therefore in excellent quality. We're able to go back and print back on acetate into negative.
So you would say probably what, like 5-6 minutes of this version
Yes.
is not the original.
Is not the original, but you will not be able.
You will not be able to tell. Okay, but I'm not able to tell. I just can't because
Not even on the answer print, straight from the negative.
yes, because I always ask you that, and you always, I still don't know yet what it really is because I don't want to know because I don't see a difference. But that's great. So now let's talk about the sound
The sound, that of
because
course
that was,
also-
I think, interesting stuff. What you said about all being so wet and all that stuff.
Yes, actually, when we went back and found that we had the so-called stems, i.e., your original sound elements separately, all the different the effects, the footsteps, the foley's, the dialogue, and because it's something that I learned at that occasion is because of the camera you explained, you could not use the production sound because the camera was too loud. Right?
Yeah, right.
So that
We'll come to that later. We
Yeah.
explain.
Yeah.
People are probably waiting for
Yeah.
the famous shot in the movie when the running shot through the entire boat. When we get there, we'll talk.
Right. So, but as a consequence, all the dialogue is recorded very carefully, subsequent and mixed into it. It's not the dialogue that was recorded when you shot the boat, and that was of great help now for the new sound in the director's cut, because that's what the dialogue was: A, entirely separate,
Right.
and
we
B,
had to dub the whole thing. Yeah.
yeah, and it was in perfect quality. So they were able now to go in and take just the dialogue, some of the footsteps, and really recreate everything else.
What
from
was that with
scratch.
that wet thing? What you had to bake?
Yes, there had gotten some of the tapes had gotten wet, and that was another touchy moment. I guess whenever you open up a 15-year-old movie, you find that it's like opening up an old house. You never know what you find behind the walls. We found that those tapes were very happy to see that they were still there because that's not always the case at all. But they had gotten a little humid, and the only way to save them was to bake them overnight at a certain temperature of I think 52 degrees. That we consulted with BASF, the tape manufacturer.
Sounds very high tech.
Yes.
I know, very high tech heating, right? And then we had, and that's actually the interesting part. We had one take to transfer, them. And if there was something going wrong or it didn't work, that was it. Because when they cooled down again, that was it. They could not be used again.
Let's talk because we hear right now some music going on here. What is with the music? What happened there?
Well, the music was
Because I asked this question because I was really not involved in that process.
Uh-huh.
That was done way because I live in Los Angeles now. That's something what Ortwin and Hannes Nickel, the great editor, original editor, and he was very much involved in doing.
recut this.
Yeah, he cut this version with me here in Los Angeles. But back in Germany, they did all the work with the sound and with the negative and the music. So
The
what happened with the
preparation,
music?
yeah. The music was also the tapes were there, but there they had, because you only have the cues, of course, where you need the sound, and in between they had used so-called leader, film leader, which, as opposed from the magnetic tape, as distinguished in the magnetic tape that normally the stem is on, and so as a consequence, the leader melted. We didn't know that when we baked it.
Oh boy!
What came out was not looking like tape at all anymore. So we had to go to Klaus Doldinger, the composer of this beautiful score, and we had to ask him, what have you left, and can
Excuse
you
me, Lieutenant.
remix it for us? And by the way, while you edit, could you also do it on 6-track digital for us, because we're doing everything else now on 6-track? And he was great, and
So he had
came
all
in
the
and
music
he
at
had
home.
everything.
Still
He had
stored.
Yeah.
He has a big studio at home, and
I know,
he had
yeah.
everything there. And so he sat down with Tony Klimt, the original guy who had done it as well, and on the technical level, and mixed it together again on 6-track. So we are now, because otherwise, I guess it was probably a blessing in disguise that they got destroyed, the tapes, because I'm not sure we would have otherwise gone to the effort of having the music entirely
that way.
digitally remixed, and now it fits very. I think it would have fallen off from this incredible sound that Sound Deluxe did.
So that's probably the best what you can have now. You have basically the original negative. You have, you know, the print from the original negative, with the exception of maybe 5 minutes or so.
Negligible, yeah.
You have all the original great dialogue we recorded, but a completely new sound design done by Sound Deluxe here in Los Angeles. These people I like a lot because you can see that because I've done all my films here, like I think now 5 films with
Yeah,
them.
all of them. Yeah,
Wiley
Wiley,
Statement
yeah.
and his great people at Sound Deluxe. And I think when you listen to the sound at home and you watch it on Laserdisc, I mean it's a great sound. I think I've never ever read so many reviews when the director's cut came out where the critics really spent a lot of time talking about the great sound.
Yeah, they were terrific. They took this on. They went out. They re-recorded sounds and redesigned them, and then completely. So what you have
Who
is
did this?
basically
People from
there-
various studios or what?
no,
No,
Sound
Sound
Deluxe
Deluxe.
here.
Ah,
in,
here.
We did the preparation of the materials over
How
in
many people
Bavaria.
were involved in the whole director's cut effort? I think is it
Over-
fair to say like
Over 70.
70
Yeah.
people
That
for
many.
Oh, yeah.
how long time altogether?
Altogether, the whole period was about a year.
In-
Not everybody of the 70 was on for the whole year, but for the better part.
so it's a
And
huge.
what did they record in especially?
They basically went out and besides the footsteps and the Foley, so
Yeah,
basically
yeah,
the walking
yeah,
and those kind of things, but all the explosions, everything was redone by them. And then what they're able to do now, which simply didn't exist technically back then, and that's the beauty about this, that you're able to give such a classic a chance to be on purely on the quality level, just like a movie that you did yesterday. So it doesn't have to fall off from the movies that you get now. This they were able to add magnetic reverb, metal reverbs, and those kind of things that you weren't able to.
Now we come, I think, to the storm sequence.
Yeah.
Yes. So,
Yeah.
and now you will see how worthwhile this whole gimbal thing was for us.
Yeah.
If you look at the next interior shot, you can see how the whole set was going 45 degrees to each side, and people were really slammed into the sides, and it looked very, very real.
That's the front projection here in the studio. Those
Yes,
shots.
these shots. is
And they
front
were
projection.
loading tons of water on top of us in the
Yeah,
studio.
that must have been incredible.
Yeah.
We have quite a bit of
And
that.
when
Here, you see the
that,
gimbal.
now you see it. Yeah.
Wow.
Self 45.
The cameras, we had 2 cameras here, you see that, 2 or 3 even, were sort of not doing the same movement like the gimbal, right?
Uh-huh.
Camera was holding steady so that the set goes
Oh, yeah, here you
against
see
the
it.
camera. And that gives you the real feeling. So if they were thrown about here and you see everything is dangling and all that stuff, it's the real movement. And I think that's so important to give reality that you have that. So it was quite a bit of effort with that huge gimbal.
I think if you watch that long enough, you get seasick yourself.
Yes. Yeah, I like this scene.
It's pretty rough sailor stuff.
So here again we have our. I don't know if it was.
The baby dolls had to go in. It was
Well,
rough.
Yeah, well, the Barbie dolls.
Uh-huh.
You know,
Oh,
they would for this they would designed here, so that they could duck down when the wave comes. You know, so that was great. And I don't recall now. Was it the first or the second time of our pre-production phase in Help?
with the green man or without the green man.
side or not? So I cannot tell anymore.
They look so sick here. I think you must have been shooting this a few times.
Oh, it was pretty rough.
Because yeah, they look just like
Yeah,
on the
The,
boat, right?
the exteriors, no, I mean the exterior shots there, and that matches well with the
Right.
yeah,
It's a
yeah.
great match, but they look. This
Yeah,
is,
but I mean, to be on that gimbal, if it goes 45 degrees in both directions, it's no fun, really. It's pretty rough.
the way this cuts the beat, you'd
Yeah,
think
you have to
entirely is
support
there.
yourself. Look
So
at
you
this,
see
yeah,
that there's no
really
acting here. This is really the boat goes crazy.
And then now all the sound with
That's what Jürgen was talking about. That first we shot about a week of these kind of scenes inside, and it didn't
just
look real.
pretending in a way.
It didn't look real.
I can
So
imagine. How would you?
We
do
did
this?
then this huge gimbal construction and did it all over again. The full length here, all these scenes here where we're shooting on stage in Bavaria Studios, the full length inside set of the submarine is still there at Bavaria Studios. It's part of a tour there. And it's very interesting because I think when you go there and whoever, if somebody goes to Munich and check it out, it's interesting. Also, they have some sound effects there. You push some button and then depth charge. It's
Right,
so
right.
it's interesting.
And
And
specifically how small it is. I have read.
yes,
It's
I mean, you
incredible.
probably when you go there, you cannot believe that we shot this for month and month and month inside this boat with all these people. But then all the other models, the 11-meter model, we talked about that, is their part of the tour at Bavaria Studios,
Mhm.
and the other 3 or 4 models, they're all there. It's a whole huge thing about this boat in Bavaria Studios, for for people to check it out now, even like 15, 20 years later. And so that's what happened with these models.
I guess, I mean, it is the biggest German post-war movie and also the most successful in many, many ways, right? I mean, so it makes a lot of sense for them to have a big
Oh yeah, I
run.
mean I mean we in Germany and Special Bavaria Studios, the production company, are all very proud of it. It is the biggest German film after the war, biggest in the sense of the most successful worldwide, has the biggest audience for a German speaking film in the world, and also with the 6 Oscar nominations we got and all kinds of awards, the critical acclaim. I think I can say that I think it's probably the most known and most important German. Can I say that as a director?
I think you can. Yeah, yeah.
Fully in touch.
It's
While I'm talking, I'm like, Jesus, I should not say that, but maybe I should.
Right, it says it right there.
Okay.
Now, how did you do this? They're both in focus.
Yeah, it's a split focus. I mean, today you see that there's a little bit on an edge in the middle.
Yeah, over
right
the
in the middle.
instruments there.
Yeah, and there you can see it if you read it. It's a split focus thing. And
Uh-huh.
it's a special lens that has a little bit of a line in the middle.
Like a Vaseline in the middle, and then
Yeah, I mean,
but you
yeah,
shoot it only once, and
only once, yes,
Uh-huh.
but it's a specially designed lens that keeps the focus on the foreground and on the background as well. It's done quite often. Here again, we have
I have a
we have, do you see these Barbie things? No, these are the real guys again. Stage. Jürgen, talk about what you went through on stage, because that's not just a little hose, spraying some water in your faces. This is major.
It was the biggest stage of the Bavarian Studios at that time, and I think it was maybe 5 meters, something like 15 feet high. The special construction was built, and they were putting water on this one. I don't know how many tons of water it was, and this was huge containers of waters, and that was coming down all the way on us. And in addition to that, of course, wind machines, and that was that scene, for example, as well. Yeah.
This is all done
And-
stage. I mean, I must tell you, talking about something what I kind of say it's a little bit
And that
embarrassing
went
for me,
on
the
and on and
director
on because we were shooting this for weeks and weeks and weeks because it was so complicated stuff to do this really, because the plates and the water and all this to combine the whole thing, it was technically very, very difficult.
You think it looks a little fake these days today? I think so. A little
bit the background. You do.
Yeah, I think I feel a little. I would like to have the camera be a bit more moving around, sort of. If
But
we
it
have
was not
these,
possible.
no, we could not really do it
No.
because with that front projection, you're very limited. I mean, today you could do all that much better, but I mean, it's like it was 1980, 81.
Yeah, no, it's most incredible. I mean, that's what I was saying about the sound earlier. You certainly just couldn't do certain things today.
We had on the stage, we had this huge, also, Jürgen was talking about these containers with water. Also here above the tower,
I was wondering about that.
yeah,
You
we had a
were touring
construction
in
that
it.
because we did it all the time. So we had already a huge construction there. We always just had to pull a special rope, and then huge, tons of water were coming down through that bridge down on
Yeah.
the set.
So all those shots were also separated from the continuity of the shooting in a way. All these tower shots, they were done separately by the end of the shooting.
The ones on
period.
top where
On
you
top
saying
of
that-
their boat, yeah, they were done extra.
But you kept
Yeah.
the beard still on.
Yeah, that was kept, and
Uh-huh.
and then they were cut in that way.
This is still.
This is the famous scene, yeah.
Now, on the Laserdisc, you will also have the English version, and it may be worthwhile mentioning that Martin Semmelrogge here, the second officer, the voice you're hearing is 1996. This is like 6 months ago that he came back and he dubbed himself.
He dubbed himself. Yeah.
Yes, because
Uh-huh.
he hadn't dubbed himself in the
Right,
English
right,
version
yeah.
before, and his voice.
We decided that the voice was we could do better.
Yeah.
So and then we said, why not try it with him himself?
Yeah.
and we flew him in from Munich
From
here
Munich,
to Los
yeah.
Angeles, and he did it 16 years later.
It's very
He
funny.
did his
yeah.
entire
Incredible,
part
yeah.
again,
Yeah.
and it fits. I mean,
Voice has not changed.
yeah, with voices, you know,
Not at
remember,
all.
they did it in some of the scenes of Lawrence of Arabia, if you remember. They had to dub with these now old Peter O'Toole scenes again, and it worked. For example, this is much longer now, and I think we spent more time here with Klaus Vennemann, you know, who plays the engineer here on the left.
Your wife.
I love this.
Yeah,
He
it's almost
is a
appears in the end. It's very strong.
he's a great actor. He's a wonderful, wonderful actor. And I told you that Jürgen had the idea of him for the part because I couldn't find a right actor for it. And it's his very first time that he was working in front of a camera in this film, in Das Boot. And what a great job he did. One of my favorite scenes is coming up later when we are down in
Down in
Gibraltar.
Gibraltar, that
When
is
he
a
comes
really
back and makes his
Yeah.
damage report.
Oh yes.
I
yes.
mean, it's beautiful.
I want an end for that, but we'll be jumping ahead.
Yeah, well, we get there.
Yeah. Now these pictures you just had prepared.
Well, we did that a few weeks before we started shooting. You know, we did that. It's always these kind of things when you just
I think ahead.
think ahead.
Helps tremendously.
Yeah, and do all these props and so. But I mean, you know how it is. We have to do it, and we did it, and it all worked out fine.
I mean, we got more and more into it. It was 1 year of shooting. You remember? I think I had something like 175 shooting days or something like that.
Oh, now comes
Here
that
it is.
famous scene with
Yeah.
the
Here
with
it
the encounter, the close encounter of these two submarines. By the way, this actually really happened, and maybe it's good to say that the entire story of this boat is a real
It's a
true
true
story.
story.
You know,
It
it
all
all
happened.
happened,
It's a
and
combination of a couple
two journeys,
tours,
yeah.
but
Two
it
journeys,
still
yeah.
happened. Yeah.
all happened, and it's all real, and including this one here, where they almost crash into each other. This is one of the most difficult things to do. How can you shoot in a major big storm in the Atlantic, the encounter of two submarines? And I mean, if I tell you what we did with these shots where you see the other submarine, it was done in our second pre-production. That one where you see
Wow,
it
that's
crashing up. The foreground is a stage, it's front projection, but the plate, I mean, the background, we had to shoot in this sort of pre-production second unit thing,
Uh-huh.
Helgoland.
Yeah.
And we had no storm that time. We did everything. So left and right out of the shot, what we had was a lot of ships we hired, and they made waves.
Oh
sort
my
of crashing
God!
back
You
and
had to
forth.
create your own.
Create our own storm,
God.
and in order to get that feeling of a storm, I mean, it's unbelievable when you see it nowadays.
Now,
This
here's a
there
Babylon
was no
5
real
here.
storm at all. It was all created with ships, you know,
And then
boats,
must have had wind machines, right?
and
Because
everything,
there's
wind
storm.
machine and hoses with spraying water over it, just to create. It was a desperation time because we had to finish our shooting there, and we couldn't get storm.
Now that is rather ironic because I've been in Helgoland about 5 times, and every time it's been way too stormy for my taste. So
So you see these that they're waving on that other boat, the
Uh-huh.
tiny little. These are the Barbie dolls again.
with the light, actually.
And they have the ability to wave, and I could again with the remote control have them wave their arms, and they did it over and over and over again as long as I wanted without any complaint.
They
So
were also blinking at you, right?
yeah, so this is a new scene also. This scene was not in the film, and I'm glad it's back because it tells you so much about the absurdity of all that. You know, when he's so angry that this could happen, that they meet there, right? That is a misorganization at
Mhm.
headquarters. Everything is going wrong there. And it was a reality at that time in the fall of 1941. A lot of things were going wrong. It's funny, as I say that, he says something wrong here. So, and that's a good acting scene. I think for Jürgen, a great scene. Did you like that scene?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's good.
More or less, that's all good.
So how did that book come to you?
The book, das Buch?
Yes.
Well, I mean, it came out in Germany in 1973, and it was a huge bestseller. I mean, people were totally fascinated and interested by this book. First time that really a very realistic kind of book about describing of a huge important part of the Second World War in Germany, the submarine war, came out. It was a big
Mhm.
hit, and well, everybody read it then, so I read it also, and the for me the thought that this might be a movie for me to direct, boy, that was like a dream. I've not even seriously thought about it.
Mhm.
Also, then Bavaria Studios, who bought the rights to the book, had not a German director in mind in the beginning and also not a German crew to do all that. They went right away to Hollywood.
So a German company with a German book
German
went to
book,
Hollywood.
German company went to Hollywood to ask, please, what are you interested to do this movie? Because it's such a huge, big movie, and we are not experienced enough to do a big film of this size, and also the money involved and all that. So they went to Hollywood, and indeed, the Americans were very interested. And John Sturges, the director, came to Munich, and he worked about a year in Munich, and on the script, on this whole thing, and to put it together. And they started building that first submarine.
Uh-huh.
When we talked about the Seven Sea boat in Chicago, when they, all that, they originally started with that, building that boat. Then it was, by the way, and Robert Redford was chosen to play the commander, Jürgen's part.
Jürgen's part would have been Robert Redford.
Yeah, Robert Redford. And that fell apart for various reasons. Especially also they had big fights with Lothar Günther Buchheim, the writer of the original book, because he just didn't like the way the Americans treated the story and
And this is somewhat autobiographical because
yeah,
he
and,
is the
and they changed
correspondent, so-
things. I mean, that kind of, I might say, in a typical Hollywood thing, they changed the story a little bit. They put it a little bit later so that they could introduce Americans who all of a sudden show up in the war,
Uh-huh, I see.
so that they had an American element to it.
Yeah, yeah.
And Buchheim just hated that whole thing. So they had big fights and big problems. And also they didn't really, they had real script problems. So they, after about a year of work, they disappeared. And I was watching that, while I was doing my little films, because I've done about 25 films for television before that in the 70s. And I was very jealous to see that these Americans get a chance to do this great German book, and we couldn't. So then the next group, believe it or not, Americans came in to try.
The second one.
Yes, to try to do it. And that was director Don Siegel, another very good director. And he brought Paul Newman as a, commander over
Another.
for Jürgen's part. So that didn't go. I mean, they failed, I think, more, not so much by script problems. I think they had really problems. They couldn't also figure out really how to do it. With these, for example, we talked about the encounter of these two submarines. How do you really do that in the storm in the Atlantic if you don't want to do tank work? And so to make it real, and they had really problems to get it on the screen, how to do it. Because way too expensive, I hear, and they finally didn't do it. And then Günter Rohrbach, the great, I told you, great producer in Germany, became the head of Bavaria Studios. And the first thing what he did is came to me and said, Wolfgang, let's do it. Let's do it in the German way. Let's do it in German language and with the German actors and everything. And that's how it all started.
And then you went straight to Jürgen?
Well,
He gave me the book.
do you remember our dinner we had at Georgenstein
Yes.
outside of Munich?
Yeah.
And I said to Jürgen, read this book.
Yeah.
This is a part you won't believe it. So he was my very first choice.
And you must know that we did, I think, 4 movies before we did this together, and we were working very successfully together, and we liked each other, and I thought that's a wonderful opportunity, and I never forget reading that book. And I was so fascinated. I couldn't believe it. Especially, I'll never forget the ending. I was going back and forth because I couldn't believe it. That was the end. Everybody get killed, and I mean that's something I learned about the absurdity of war. All of a sudden,
That is
I thought,
incredible, yeah.
that is was so incredible. That impression I'll never forget, and it had a big impact on me. Anyway. I was very happy and I wanted to do it. But then a couple of weeks later, Wolfgang told me, forget all about it.
It's all
It's
I say, put it on hold.
forget it.
Because
so
you know how it is.
forget it.
On a huge project like this, the starring part, the main part, all kinds of people came to me, from the production side and from the distribution, all that. Is he really the right guy? And before you decide, why don't you test all kinds of actors? So I became a little insecure now. Is it really right? And so I had to test all kinds of actors in Germany. And at the very end, to make this long story short, at the very end, we came back to Jürgen. and he did also a test then, and he was by far the best, and so he got the part. But there was a little nerve-wracking waiting.
Yeah, that was 1 year in between, and I was doing other things. I went back to theater. I remember that, and
Did you
did a
still
couple
think
of-
you were
did a-
gonna
No,
do it?
I forgot.
Besides for
about
us.
it. Yeah, I was hearing, and then I was listening, and then we're looking that way, and then I found out no, it's not casted yet from other guys who went for the part and so forth. But in a way, I forgot about it, and I'll never forget that. I had a premiere at the theater in Düsseldorf, and that was the day before, after. And I was sitting in my mother's home, and we were having coffee and talking about the play that evening. And the phone rang, and Wolfgang was there, and asking me, "You still up for this?" You know, and there's yes.
Yeah, thank God I did that.
Yeah, that was fantastic.
And then I wrote the screenplay. I wrote, based on that book, I wrote the long version, the
Is that
6-hour
two, right?
version, and at the same time, I wrote the movie. And that was kind of good because it's more like this is almost, even it's a huge big film. It's more like a and oh, we have to make a little break here because this is the scene.
Yeah,
This is the sort of
we
famous
have to
running
talk
scene.
about the cinematography.
I've never had to answer so often the question, well, did we do this? So here's the answer. Jos Vacano, the cinematographer, had that small Arriflex camera. He built his own stabilization system with 2 gyroscopes.
Mhm.
He was running holding this camera, not looking through it, holding it in front of his belly, so to speak. He was running through the entire boat with that. And we had his assistant that was running behind him
Mhm.
with a wire
And the file.
connected, and for the focus.
Focusing.
And that's how they did it. And they were sort of, secured with all kind of like a hockey
Knee pads
player.
and stuff,
Yeah.
Pads everywhere because they were always crashing into things, especially when they were running through these holes. They trained it and trained it and trained it all the time, over and over again. And then finally, out of 16 tries, 2 were good and 1 you only need. So that's how we did it. Very simple.
They trained themselves like we did. We did all the training here before we did the movie, the running and in which order you have to, that has to be set up. Everybody who is first, second, and so forth, and doing as fast as possible. And then they trained it themselves as well. So Joost with a camera and the assistant running behind him, behind all those guys, and so it looks like a Steadicam. And everybody was asking, "How did you?"
Yeah,
do this
everybody
shot?"
wanted to
That
know.
was
And it was very simple. It
Yeah.
was no Steadicam.
No.
Steadicam was a little too big and too cumbersome for that small space. And it was no hidden tracks, nothing. It was just that handheld camera with these gyroscope stabilization system. And because it was such a great camera to work with for this film, we did basically the entire movie with that.
Mhm.
So if you really see it like that, it's like the entire movie is basically handheld shot. But you don't feel it because
No,
it's so
because
stabilized,
stabilized, yeah.
and then we had to loop everything because these gyroscopes make noise and the camera was loud, so we had to
dub the
to
whole
dub.
movie,
Incredible.
and yeah.
But we in Germany are pretty used to that, so it's not such a big deal. But back to writing the screenplay. So I was writing the screenplays, and it is good because it helped when we were shooting. It's more like almost, and it's a big movie, but it's more like an auteur film in that kind of European sense because I was writing and directing at the same time, so I didn't have all these fights going on.
You were the
Fights-
writer?
Yeah, I had the fights with myself, and that's basically it. And what we did also, I think, was great. You remember that when we had always every morning on stage
Yeah, I wanted to say that.
in a
yeah,
special
yeah,
container,
yes.
we had our
A
talking
meeting.
at it.
Yes. Every morning, everybody involved in that special scene where we're going to shoot had a meeting with Wolfgang, and we were talking about that scene. And the discussions were going on. Everybody could say what he thought should be done with that scene, in his way, or as an actor or whatever, who was part of this. And that was really great because you became more and more part of the whole thing, and you got more and more involved. And we were so into this. We were experts in the end. We knew so many details about submariners and submarines and so forth, and that was great. And to achieve something there, I think you could do it only in this way. And I think that was a great job Wolfgang did every day with us, that briefing and
Briefing, yeah, that's what we call it,
talking
briefing sessions.
For the whole day then.
For
that special
for
day,
that
you know.
day.
For that day.
And he had his shot list, and he spoke to Joost before or after that briefing, and so we knew what was coming that day, and what we were going for, and it was not easy because some of this wasn't done before ever. So
Mhm.
that was really a challenge always, you know.
Now, how did you do this so that did you shoot scenes twice in different ways to be able to get in and out depending on the movie version or the TV version?
No,
Because you knew ahead what you were
yeah,
gonna
yeah.
do, right?
Because that was in the writing process already. It was important to write it in a way that without shooting different ways for continuity. So it was like a puzzle to write it like that. That if you take these scenes out, continuity wise, it would still work for the short version of the film.
Uh-huh.
If you put them all back in, it would work for the long version. And if you say it's almost impossible, I can tell you it is almost impossible, but only almost impossible because it finally
Because you
worked.
did it.
Yeah.
And
So
so this allowed you now to put the pieces back in for the
yes,
director's cut the way you want it.
that was
Yeah,
so.
incredible.
That was a reason it worked fairly easy to put the director's cut back together. And by the way, here, this whole sequence, what we just watched now, right now, also is not in the film.
Uh-huh.
It's
Yeah.
so it's another of these cat and mouse situations where I think it's just great.
I should say, for example, for us as actors being in that tube, we had people out there with sledgehammers and stuff, and they were banging the boat from the outside, so we could react to the sound because there was no really
For the depth shot.
for
Give
the
you
depth
the noises
charges
for-
to give us the real impact of something like that, you know. And it was real, it was gruesome because that
You
was
felt
a
in the-
brutal sound in there, reacting to something like that, you know.
Right. Yeah, look at this.
Yeah.
This
Yeah,
is
that
again
we had
major
a lot of
gimbal.
special effect
Yeah.
prepared. Charlie Baumgartner, I think we
Charlie
should-
Bum Bum.
Charlie Bum Bum, famous guy in Germany, a legendary special effects guy in Germany. He did all these wonderful effects. If you see when things break and water
Yeah.
breaks in and
The bulbs, the bird.
everything, he and his people prepared all that. And they did a great job. And we will especially talk about Charlie Bum Bum and his people when we come to the end, La Rochelle and the
Yeah,
whole
yeah,
Gibraltar
yeah.
thing. Boy, what these people did was just amazing, and it added so much to the horror and the reality of terror of these things on the submarine.
Now, this whole story, this is obviously the first time, as of the time you made the movie, that a German movie about the Nazi time did not display them just as the Nazis versus the American. That was pretty controversial back then, wasn't it?
It was very
In
I mean,
Germany, back
yeah.
there,
Thank
yeah.
God that you mentioned because now I think these scars are sort of over now, and but we were really beaten up bad by the critics in Germany,
Mm.
by the public, not by the audience because they came, by the millions. It was a huge success in Germany, but the critics and especially it was more the
The
leftish
left-wing ones,
left
yeah,
wing
yeah,
kind of side of
yeah.
the critics came to us and said we're not allowed
Yeah.
in Germany to deal with soldiers in the war if it's our side, the Germans, to portray them as, so to speak, normal human
Normal human
beings.
beings, they have
We
to be
have to-
monsters or
Yes,
yeah.
we have to be portray ourselves as villains. It's a very, very German thing. It's a very extreme thing. Like either we are the greatest and kill everybody out in the world, or we just say mea culpa, we are the bad
Big
guy.
guilt thing,
The big guilt thing in Germany. And boy, we got it. We got it big time. They got it. I mean, the reviews of Das Boot when the film came out in Germany was just horrible. And then we came to the United States. Remember that, Jürgen?
Yeah.
When we came here to that LA Film Festival here, and we screened the film the very first time, and we were so scared because now was the test. What would, even if Germany reaction like that, what would they do in a former enemy, so to speak?
Right.
And here in Hollywood, it was a huge, also Jewish community out here. And sitting there, 1,000 people being forced to identify themselves for 2.5 hours with Nazis, with Germans in the war. And in the very beginning of the film, as you know, when it says from 40,000 German submariners, 40,000 were killed, it was an applause in the audience. So we were just shrinking in our seats and think this will never go good here. This will be a disaster. And then you remember, Jung, 2.5 hours later, when the lights went on, it was a standing ovation we got. We went up to the screen on the stage there, and it was an amazing success and almost like a triumph. I mean, it was such an emotional moment of embracing each other, so to speak, both sides, and realizing for an American audience that the people on the other side, were sort
Human
of
beings
human
as well.
beings as well. And it's basically it's all about madness of war. And I
Right.
mean, kids out there in the war being
Those
uh,
kids that were
were
17,
17,
18, and the captains in the end of the war, there were 24, and being responsible for the lives of 48 other people on about that.
So it was a great experience here in America to get this kind of, after we were so beaten up, in Germany, that we got this sort of, we got the message through here completely as this being really an anti-war film. And I will never forget that. And one of the reasons I'm here, and I'm Jürgen is also here, working here a lot, is we never forget that. We had the feeling it was so important. Like this film was for, don't you think, Jürgen, for you and me and for a lot of people involved, like a turning point in our life anyway.
Yeah.
And I think it changed things dramatically for us. My life was never the same again.
No, mine as well.
And Jürgen's as well, and in a good sense of really now it opened for me the old doors, and for Jürgen as well, to making big movies and great movies, and can work with the best of the best in Hollywood now. And it all goes down to this film, to Das Boot. It
But-
opened all the doors.
You're talking about it as if it happened yesterday.
Yeah.
I mean, down to
if,
the dinner.
I should add maybe, about the controversy in Germany. That was very interesting because, we as kids being brought up in Germany after the war, we had all those questions, asking our parents, our teachers, the priests in churches and so forth, finding out about the war, what really happened. And everybody tried to escape. Nobody wanted to answer our questions. And here, for the first time, there was a book portraying something, a little piece of reality like it really was, that war, and then the reactions were so different, and that was very, very strange. I'll never forget that, because here for the first time you had something like it really was, and submariners who survived that journey saw the premiere of the movie in Munich. I'll never forget that, and they came to us afterwards. They were so out of their minds, they were crying, and
Because it brought it back
embracing us, and
for them who've
brought-
been there.
yeah,
That's incredible.
You see here Jürgen's beard. Now we are more into the film, and you see the
Yeah,
beard is
yeah,
longer,
it's
the
longer,
hair is
yeah.
longer.
You'll see it in the end, then later as well,
Right.
how long it is.
And all the
Here
these
as
guys.
well.
It's
Yeah.
all genuine. It's nothing. fake.
Yeah. Now, the only, but quite decisive difference, I guess, to the book is though the ending, right?
Yeah, the ending. I wanted to say something because Jürgen talked about meeting the real guy, the real commander.
Yeah.
That is the only thing where in the book and in the film, Buchheim, the writer, and we took a little bit of a license that it looks like that the captain at the end dies. Right? It's written like that, and we shot it like that.
Mhm.
That's the only departure from the reality, because he survived it.
Yeah,
For
but
dramatic
the other
reasons.
journey, I think the captain was killed. I think he took it from this journey, from the second journey.
Yeah, but I mean, the guy you portray
Yes,
is
yeah,
definitely
it's definitely the guy
the
who
guy
survived. Yeah,
who
right,
survived,
yeah.
and that's the license he took.
Yeah.
But the rest of it is all the true story.
But it's a compilation anyway.
Yeah,
to set
he
up
went
the-
out twice, I think, and the book portrays those two journeys.
A lot of people always ask me about how was it with the 6-hour version and the film version? What was first and all that kind of thing. So this is what it was. The film was shown first in Germany in theaters as a film, and then 4 years later, in 1985, that was the contract. It was shown in the long version on TV. And at the same time was shown in the long version on TV also 4 years later in France and in England, because
'Cause they were co-production,
Yeah,
right?
they co-produced. Television France and in England, BBC co-produced with German television to get all the money together we needed. So that's how it was. The second territory where the film came out was the United States. And from there, really, the sort of international success
January
started.
82. It started over here, and then we went a couple of times. I remember that.
So they are all waiting now. And while they're all waiting, maybe Otwin can tell us a little bit about, because you were very much involved in the English version.
Yes, we amended also to the extent possible the English dub that should be on this Laserdisc as a separate track. And it was what was quite interesting. Originally, obviously, Jürgen, you dubbed yourself.
Yes, I
back
did.
then.
That was years back. I remember that. That was my first job in English, actually, because we shot this in German. And then I was brought to London, and I started doing my synchronization, my dubbing on my own without anybody else. I was the single person in the studio, and I think it took me, that was just the movie version to begin with, I think 2 weeks to do my version, and it was really very, very carefully done, and we tried to do our best, of course, and That was my first job in English.
Mhm.
So Jürgen did himself.
Yes, so
Right.
His own voice?
I spoke my own.
So
part.
if people hear the English version, so they hear Jürgen speaking, his part himself in English. Who else?
I guess there was
I think it was
As
Martin
far as I
did,
remember,
Martin
it
did.
was
first
Uwe
officer?
Ochsenknecht
Right.
did his job.
mhm.
Herbie Grönemeyer, playing the
Right.
war correspondent, did his.
Hubertus
first
Frank.
officer.
Hubertus Banks.
Yeah.
First officer.
Hubertus Banks,
Yeah.
the first officer.
So like 4 or 5 of the main characters
Characters
did it themselves.
Right.
Klaus Wennemann, no. The
The
LE,
chief?
the
Mhm.
chief.
And Martin did.
and
And
Martin,
we spoke about that earlier.
Martin
Martin.
Zemmer, the second officer.
Right.
He did his job later, right?
He did it
Yeah.
now.
Now.
So that's what we were talking earlier on, that like 16 years later now he came
He
here
came
and
back.
did it again, and this voice still sort of
Right.
fit.
In the English version. Right.
Yes.
What was interesting also, we went in because back then in London, everybody who didn't dub themselves, because I guess it was done in London, was dubbed by English speakers with a very strong, in many
English
cases,
accent.
English accent, be
Mm.
it Oxford, be it Scottish.
Mm.
So on a German submarine going against the British, and you suddenly had all these Brits talking around, it sounded like a
Weird.
skyboat, you know.
Mhm.
So we went in and we did it also. There were a number of, this was a, shall I say, a sanitized dub version because it was at the same time the dub for television.
Uh-huh.
So in certain cases, you know how the rules are, we had to go, we were able to go back and say that Thompson wanted to use the F word.
Right, right.
As opposed to go over town, which they had made it, and those kind of things.
Oh, by the way, now watching this here, I think this. I always, when I see this over and over again, I just think it's very riveting. I mean, it's amazing when the pressure mounts here and they go deeper and
Mhm.
deeper, and when when
And
the
The bold
How
crowd.
far can
Yeah.
they go? Whether
when the bolts when they shoot out, I think
that
it's
holds
such.
or not. I mean,
it's-
this is
Right.
It's
Now this,
so
testing,
fair.
this is
you know.
in the theater. I've seen this so often. Whenever that is what's about to happen in a second here, with the sound that you had them put on there now,
Yes.
they jump out of the
Yeah,
seat.
I was sitting next to Pat McGreeny, who was Harrison Ford's agent,
Uh-huh.
and when the first ball was coming up, and she was sitting in the premiere in Los Angeles. It's right now, I
Yeah.
think, after this.
After this,
Boom.
yeah, right.
She was so flying up almost to the ceiling and crashed right down in her seat again.
Yeah, you see this from the back when you look. Everybody's like,
Yeah.
and this was still early on. I think that was the only time it was very interesting where I thought it was very much on purpose. I would think that even the captain was thrown when the second destroyer comes. They think they're safe, and then suddenly the second destroyer comes up.
Right.
That's even where Jürgen is.
So I think interesting is the Johann scene is coming up soon, and when we're there, we should talk about it.
Yeah.
When he sort of loses it, when
Freaks out.
Yeah, when he
Right.
freaks out. But Oddbin, you in the process of working on our director's cut, you did a lot of research again about submarines and all that. kind of
Right, I had to, but specifically also for the subtitles and the new dub to make sure all the terms were right, etc. And it's amazing how much authenticity is in there that intuitively you feel it, but you realize it specifically when you find out. Like here in this scene, just a number of other bombing scenes, the captain is screaming instructions where to go, and you wonder why on earth couldn't he wait a few seconds until everybody has his bearings again. I understand the reason is the very second the bombs fall, the depth charges, the destroyer is blinded themselves. They themselves cannot find the boat, and that gives them about
for
60
like a couple of minutes,
yes,
right?
for a minute or two. So that's the opportunity every time to get out
Just
and
sneak away.
exactly,
Yeah.
and that's something that is just there. And I also find it great actually that it's never explained. In today's movies, you would get a big explanation at some point by some character talking.
But
And
look
here
at
it's just there.
these faces again, Jürgen. Here, I think what we said, what the gimbal technique
Yeah.
did was
Yeah.
amazing. I mean, if you see, the fear in these faces, it's that's, as I said before, there's not a lot of acting going on here. It's really like pure
And
terror.
the explosions inside as well. This water, for
Look at
example,
this, yeah.
sharp like a knife, coming out of this. And
Yeah.
being hit by this or being hit by one of the explosions in the exteriors, because there is hardly any space. It looks even bigger on screen than it was in reality. And
Yeah.
there were so many people in there.
I think what nobody really knew, and I think this is the time now to talk about it. I have to give a lot of credit for this, I think, great editing in these quick, fast cut depth charge scenes, action scenes to Hannes Nichols' brother.
Uh-huh.
Yes,
He worked on that. I didn't
Thomas.
know. Oh,
His
very
younger
good.
brother, who was also an editor, is now a director.
He's a director himself now.
Yes.
Yeah.
He and normally an editor does not like to give stuff away because there was such a workload. We had so much stuff to do. Said that he was fine that his brother would.
You trust your brother. that's right.
Yes, that he was fine with that. So his brother took over and cut a lot of these things here, these action scenes, especially depth shots, because you have so much material, and then to make it all work, so it takes forever. And he did that. So I think that's worthwhile to mention.
Now, these kind of scenes, how many takes would you go in here to? I mean, how often
I would say in general 7-8 takes, the average. Huh?
Yeah, and we shot it with these scenes are very true. We shot these with 3 or 4 cameras at the same
yeah.
time. So we had more a master
A lot of it.
situation, and then 2 or 3 camera operators were always looking for and going over faces. And
You were able to put 3, 4 cameras into this cramped space on top of everything.
I think mainly 3.
That's incredible.
And as well, I remember there was a camera outside the gimbal. Maybe you want to talk about this?
Yeah, I mean, because that's the technique of the gimbal,
Technique.
but now it's Johan coming.
Oh, there is,
Yeah.
And maybe we should talk about that, and then we go back to
Yeah.
the camera
camera
outside the
situation.
gimbal situation. This is the one of the big scenes in
Crucial
the film.
scenes, yeah.
When Johan just really, the guy who had done so many trips already, he's a pretty experienced technician, is losing it. And
he's an expert. He was on 9 journeys before, so now he's losing it.
that's it. It's a very, and we were discussing the scene back and forth, because a little later that Jürgen is going as the commander and going to get the gun.
Right, which
And
was criticized.
Very
Yes,
much.
yeah.
I mean, our advisor, for example,
From our advisors, but
Yeah.
not from other people. I mean,
Right, no, from
seeing that, but
naval
from,
experts.
yes, yeah, from
they
experts.
they were saying, Krug was saying, our advisor, that
He never would have done
would
that.
not have done that. But I doubted that. I really doubted that, and because it was written like that in the book, and I trusted in that case more Buchheim, who was very, very accurate about everything what happened.
Yes.
And I had the feeling that Krug was more interested,
Yeah.
maybe a little bit
About the
about the
How it was
image,
portrayed.
image of the army,
image of the
yeah,
army.
yeah.
So
Navy.
so we got into a pretty big argument about this.
I remember we got together, actually. I think it was really very, very good. I'll never forget that. Like a briefing we did every morning. We took all the people, all the actors being involved in that scene. And then we were talking about this and finding out what everybody thought about the situation. And mainly everybody said it's right to
Here it
produce the
comes.
gun here.
Yes.
And now you see it for the first time. You know?
Yeah.
I think
And
it's a
because
shocking
that-
moment. It's
yeah,
yeah.
Also, I like the body language of Jürgen here. I mean, he's
Yeah.
devastated.
Yeah,
His
that-
whole
About
body
himself, about
tells
his
his story. About
They too. I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
what a terrible experience that is. If Johan is losing it, it's over. I mean, it should not happen. Why of all people? You know?
Yeah. Because it's such a close knit group there that
Yeah.
has to depend on each
Yeah,
other so much. that-
Absolutely.
Oh, it's all a psychological
Yeah.
situation. If that happens, the beginning or the end. So he has to be so tough to stop this in the very beginning, and well, later on, that's a scene, by the way, I wrote. It's not in the book. Later on, when Johan comes to apologize.
Yeah.
Oh, that wasn't in the
No,
book?
no, it was just said. He said that was one
Implied.
line that later on he apologized and everything was fine. So, but we made a big scene out of that. and I think it's one of the stronger scenes in the film.
Would have thought it of Johan. Degrading. Shameful.
So now they're gonna get shaken big time again.
Yeah.
And then
Yes.
just now that's
That's the situation where the camera then.
Yeah,
is-
let's
is-
go back
yeah.
to the camera. Sort of
Yeah.
what we did. That was the only case that we opened the submarine on one side because of the gimbal technique. Meaning, we wanted to have the cameras outside of the gimbal so that the camera does not move.
Yeah.
It's just the
The
set
boat
with
was
the
rocking,
people
yeah.
and everything was rocking like crazy back and forth, like what happens right now. And the camera
These
here,
shots are incredible.
these cameras
I think
are
they're just
outside.
images, you know. This is, I think that's the first time I saw something like that. It was incredible.
Oh, so this is the I see. Now you shake
Yeah,
the
shake-
set and the camera is
The
on.
camera is stable outside. Was in
Yeah.
a special suspension outside there, and
And for that last sequence here of
Which is a total. It's the word when
It-
he is
yeah.
like just giving. up.
yeah,
like
giving
those
up.
images, you
It's
know.
only
this-
faces now.
Yeah.
It's no destruction really anymore of the boat and all that. It's just faces in terror. And we said that
Like
was
a-
maybe
yeah.
the best way of showing it's
getting
bad.
an absurdity or
Yeah.
like a dream situation all of a sudden.
And then a fire, and then you hear somebody screaming in the back. We're sinking.
We're sinking. So and also the war correspondent was sort of also giving up.
He's giving up. He goes to his bunk, he wants to sleep and he doesn't want to know anything anymore.
And think of this picture, right?
Yeah,
That you
yeah,
watched
yeah.
with the
Yes,
kids.
the snow picture and,
snow
and
picture.
sort of last look at home and
Yeah.
before he dies.
Incredible. We felt when the sound was redone, we actually, upon the suggestion of the sound people, went in and added more voices of screams and stuff. They felt
Right.
it was so strong it needed to.
That was like a dream situation, you know. And he went to sleep, and now he wakes up.
He wakes
again,
up and
it's
he-
like
He thinks he's in heaven.
exactly. He doesn't know whether it's reality or exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And
you just
And
hear
he
turn-
hears
turn
little
it.
voices around himself, and he doesn't know whether it's heaven or hell or whatever. Again,
and then he sees them. They think, oh, it looks
Yeah.
like they're dead.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
very. And for the here, he could just as well. And that's on purpose, of course, right? You're leaving that open. for a
Everything
second.
in this movie is on purpose. We
Yeah.
thought a lot about that. It's not like let's see what happens.
Sometimes I'm just wondering whether
This guy looks
you
like
over-
dead in the back, you know.
Yeah, you just want to know whether it is just your own feeling and interpretation, or are we actually following exactly what you wanted us to follow?
Yes, no, you seem to do, and so this is like being like in a ghost ship.
This is also an incredible shot here.
Yeah.
A lot of people when we were doing this, it's just great how they.
And he just still cannot believe that
yeah,
he's
now
alive.
he learns what happened in the meantime when he was asleep, you know, and how long
Right.
it took and to get away and all this.
And now we come slowly to the maybe one or two most powerful sequences in the film.
Yeah.
Is the whole thing with the
The
tanker.
freighter.
Yeah.
Is it a tanker actually? Yeah. Right.
And that was a lot of discussion. I'm very happy that I could now finally in this version bring in, remember, during the scene right after the explosion of the tanker, what we see right
Yeah,
now, when you
yeah.
all sit there
Yeah.
in the office's mess, and
Yeah.
it's
Discussing it.
not really discussing
No,
it.
but
Because I did a version here that's a little different than, and we will come to that. It's interesting than in the long TV version. In the long TV
This day
version,
even more.
they discuss it,
yes,
and I thought it was even more powerful if they sit and have no words,
no words. Man.
and they just sit there and are ashamed,
Yeah.
and feel so bad, and sort of this silence here, I think, was even more powerful than discussing why they couldn't take
Pick
these
up
people,
the survivors. Yeah.
because you will probably
Yeah,
later talk about at that time in the war why they couldn't take when you did your research again.
Yeah, it's actually a lot of people are shocked, of course, by this, and are wondering how to
We
take it.
were as well. I
You were
mean,
too.
for us, as doing it as actors, but it adds something of a reality, of a special
is,
reality to your character. I mean, this is a part of the guild we all feel and still have.
I
we
remember
weren't
that was
part of this, but
that was when we shot the scene when they come up here. By the way, this I think we did that also. If you ask me, was that on purpose? It was. Meaning the next shot when the closer one. This is a model, by the way, again in the tank, Bavaria Studios. A fairly small model, and if you really look very closely, you see it's a very small
Fine
model.
CGI work.
But this is, they all come up in one shot. There's no cut. All these people come up, and it is a little bit like later on, like in a court. I mean that people are.
Oh, I see. They're all like brought up for judgment.
Yes, for judgment, and you see that everybody comes up here.
front of the jury.
Obviously, they were thinking at this point.
Pay for this. I mean, this
Right.
is what it tells you.
Right.
This is what they did. This is their work. It's
Yeah.
just terrible.
Yeah.
And remember, Jürgen, I think we had almost a revolution then when we talked about that. That was the most critical.
People didn't want to do it.
Yeah,
Isn't that
the
isn't
actors
it
we had
incredible?
really strong discussions here, and almost fights because of it was such a what a scene this is. I mean,
Yeah.
what a terrible.
I mean, I read about it, and I understand obviously when they torpedo it, which I guess would also have been unusual because they were so careful. They only had 16 torpedoes, but I guess they needed some more room, and they decided to do it
Oh
anyway.
yeah, they were really happy to get rid of it
Yeah,
as soon as
get some
possible.
room.
But
Let's
they had
talk
to
now a
build
little bit.
big-
That's maybe interesting how we did that because
Mhm.
this is a fairly big, I would say, like 3-4 meters model again in the tank at Bavaria Studios.
Huh?
Yeah, it's fairly big, and we could get away with it because you don't see that many details.
Mhm.
So normally I would say a 3-4 meter model of a ship is a big thing if you see it daylight and very clearly because of all the detail work. But here you see it's a little bit with the smoke and the flame, so you could get away with it. This is an over shoulder situation. This is a front projection
Mhm.
again,
Yeah.
right? So it was done on stage with the actors, and we had the plate of the ship, and we shot it on stage. And when we cut closer and see these people jumping off after this
Mhm.
huge explosion, this is all
This is
all
gas. This
tank
is like,
work. Yeah, gas explosions, all tank work.
Models, yeah.
Beautifully done, I would
Yeah.
say, by
Mhm.
Charlie Baumgartner.
Yeah.
That was him again.
Yes.
Doesn't
He-
just blow things up. He also does a model.
No, he didn't build the models, but he did the effects,
I see.
Yeah,
Okay.
the special
Uh-huh.
effects, and I think it's very well done. And so I'm still proud of this part.
Yeah,
Yeah, this
here,
is
what
a
did-
real piece of set.
Yeah.
You know, we did it
Real people,
also in the tank. It was big enough to build a piece of the of a
They
real
jumped
ship.
into the tank.
Oh yeah,
Wow. And
That's-
how high was that then?
it
when
was
we were jumping
what
from?
you see.
Yeah, it
Was
was
it real high?
6-7 meters. Yeah.
At
Yeah,
least.
yeah,
because-
at least.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
More than
And
that.
these were all stunt guys.
Yeah.
And they were, you know,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Look at this.
people.
Yeah.
and they jumped down.
Whoosh,
But it's
yeah.
only what that part of a ship we built, of course, right?
Uh-huh.
And so at the end, if you cut it all together, it just looks pretty convincing. I
Still a
would say.
pretty big set.
It is pretty
for-
big.
for,
and
you know,
here they
relatively
were
short.
really swimming in the water. That's all
You're
real.
well in there. You know.
Right.
Nowadays, you would probably even
Yeah, how
do
did they-
these things with, you know, computer animated people jumping down.
Just
or
jump off some
something, yeah. And,
right.
But that time we had to do it all for real.
Yeah.
So this is the
This
big
is a
moment.
big scene.
here.
Now I
Well,
understand.
this always gives me the chills. I've seen this scene like I don't know, you know, 100 times, but I still think it's amazing.
Yeah.
Also, Jürgen, I mean, Jürgen's face there. I mean, when he makes that decision in this shot here, when the boat pulls away,
Pulls
it
back,
yeah.
says it all.
And Ullman is crying. And,
It's
yeah.
it's terrible.
Yeah.
It's just this is all about madness of war. I mean,
Right.
if you cannot do it better than that.
No.
I think
No.
better than that meaning more terrible. Find more terrible images of what war is all about.
So strong. Now I understand this is in like as far as the facts are concerned, it's a result of an escalation between the Allies and Germany. The Allies decided to let their convoys continue whenever a ship was torpedoed to make sure that because the Germans continued to torpedo whenever a convoy stopped, they continued to shoot those down.
Right.
So then they decided to let their tankers, freighters, whatever, continue, which meant which they had done in the beginning of the war, if now the submarine picked up the survivors, delivered it to another freighter, now there was no freighter left because the convoy would have moved on. So the submarine would have had to go to port to get rid of the survivors and would have been put out of business for it,
Right.
so to speak, a few days. And so now they decided, that's a great shot, sorry. So they decided to give the same order, and now they're all doing
Right.
that.
So this is what I talked about. This scene now, you see, it's silence. In the TV version, we
They're
had a
discussing.
whole lot of dialogue going
Mhm.
on here, but I thought this is really strong. They just sit there, you see, and no words.
And you
If
can
you look
feel-
at these
yeah,
guys, you look at Jürgen, look
and
at
he feels accused. You realize he's very
Yeah,
touchy, you know.
yeah,
so-
you see that
Yeah.
Grönemeyer watches him, you know, and so I cut the dialogue here, no more dialogue, and here, you know, he looks at him, and
Right.
you know,
You
it says it all. It says it all. You know, and then the way he now Jürgen responds to Bernd Tauber here,
Yeah. Who's
in
also
in
very
a
nodding at him.
aggressive
Way.
mood, bad mood.
Mm.
It's all about guilt. It's all about
Yeah, it's
you know,
terrible.
Situation
For
of
his-
war, yeah.
for his
Yeah,
sailor to leave
it's
the
a
person
lot
in
of
the sea.
things. I mean, this is war, and I think this is right to tell it that way because that was the reality. I mean, and that gives us something to think about, you know,
Not
what
bad.
it really was, and to feel about.
Because I guess we try to portray, which is of course ludicrous, but we try to portray there is like a human way to wage war, which is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And here you see
Yeah,
that, of
and you
course,
see the reality of
yeah.
it, you know, and I think there's no way of escaping
Any hope of
a
joining?
situation like that.
Difficult.
minimum 5 hours away, full speed.
And then when we, here you see how aggressive it is. And he feels so bad about himself. And always, Jürgen, I must tell you, body language, so much of acting is just the whole body, not just the words, says so much.
They
The way
all-
they all, the way they sit there, the way they move. It's great, great acting, I would say.
And I guess now knowing that you had all these discussions explains that it was also very heartfelt.
Oh no,
mean,
it was such a great. It was like stage work, like on the theater. Every morning, like what was it, like 45 minutes, an hour or so.
yeah.
Very unusual to do that on a film set.
Yeah.
Where time is everything. But we took the time.
Yeah.
We always, like 15, 20, 25 people, whatever, had to work that day.
Being involved in that scene.
And we were
Yeah.
really discussing everything. Even the so-called extras who were not really extras.
Yeah.
I mean, the guys who were not really actors.
Mm-hmm,
But by the way, do you know how I selected these people? Well, you normally would say these are extras, and you just go to an agency and get extras. No way. What we did with the help of Georg Borgel, who was an assistant on that picture, he crisscrossed all over Germany and found faces. I told him to go into boxing schools, to go into all kinds of universities, in all kind of places where young people are from all different kinds, right? More upper class,
out,
more lower class, and look for interesting faces on people who would have the time to spend like a year of work. That's not
They
easy
got a
to
year?
find.
Without
So he
money or hardly any
well,
money.
not money really at all.
Was-
So it was like finding 15, 20 people all over Germany, including Austria,
Uh-huh.
where we found a couple of them because we also wanted to
Yeah,
have the dialect.
Yeah.
I think that was very interesting. We should add this maybe because these people were coming from all over Germany and Austria,
the German
and,
Reich has
so
yeah.
you have all different kinds of dialects in the movie,
Yeah.
which adds a lot because you can always localize where the people are from. They were from little villages. They were not from the border of the sea or something.
Yeah.
They came from the mountains or whatever,
Yes.
being drawn to that weapon, to the
Unfortunately,
submarine.
that's something for an American
Can be-
audience, English-speaking
can
audience,
be
they cannot really follow. But it is an additional quality of reality to it in the German version. This is
he
the
is
scene.
from Austria.
Yeah, he's an Austrian guy. He's pretty, I mean, he speaks a very, very heavy, like Arnold
Austrian.
Schwarzenegger, and an accent. And this is the scene I'm talking about. And that was just mentioned in the book. Was just mentioned with such one line of that Johann finally, apologized, and it was over. And I thought, let's make a real scene.
It's a very strong.
It's very strong. And I think
that's
one of Jürgen's
hangs in the
best scenes.
It hangs in the air afterwards, because it's not quite sure whether he is really off the hook or not.
Well, but I mean, the way you look at him.
Well, yeah, but
I
it's
always love that you didn't say anything, but you say, go bed, go to sleep or something like that. And I know what you're saying, and
Yeah.
he knows.
right.
I think this is great. This is a great way of.
But then later it's payback time for him, He works like hell when we are
He saves the,
on the
he
bottom.
saves
of
them, yeah.
He is one of them.
Yeah.
Well,
with-
that's all about. I mean,
Yeah.
how about the morale on a submarine? And what a good leader would do in a situation like that: punish this guy, or forgive him
have a,
and get something out
Out
of
of
him.
him, yeah.
That is 3 times as much as
Yeah,
he would,
make him
because
work
he's
harder.
so proud now and he wants to make up for it
Right.
and wants to redeem himself.
Yeah.
And that's one of these psychological things you have to have as a captain, as a commander, as a leader on a boat, to treat these people the right way. It's like doing a movie.
I was testing
Absolutely.
Same thing.
Right.
So now, I guess after this we have, he writes, decide to
Now it's the big
go
turning
back.
point. We go home.
now that signal that they're getting.
to
I
have-
thought it was interesting to this triple encoded signal.
Yes, that's
the
a special
machine.
that's a special thing. What is sort of 3 times coded. It's top secret, only for the commander to look at. In that special case, what we see also.
And this is flipped, shall we say?
Yeah, well, yeah.
Oh,
This was a shot, the exterior with the boat.
Yes.
Yeah, I never was happy with the shot we had there in the film. So we found another one, remember?
For the
And we
cut, yeah,
flip flopped it around. So because going home means going right to left.
Yes.
Always when we go out, it was left to right.
Right.
And going home right to left. So we flip flopped a shot, but that was originally left to right, and put it in and it works fine. But this is now what you were talking about.
Right, they
The
received
decoding thing. This machine he has there, I mean, it's so old fashioned right now. It looks like ancient
It was a
technique.
very advanced computer. At
Yeah.
that
Why
time.
don't you go? Why the operator go down a little bit that we see the damn machine?
I think when he takes it in a second.
Yes.
Now, I don't know whether in 41, I think it was a little later, that actually they captured, they had these machines in certain other, these decoding machines in certain other headquarters, etc. as well. And the Allies were able to obtain a machine. And they,
They
were
found
actually-
it out.
And they cracked, but they didn't tell them. So, I mean, they never used it in such a way that the Germans could tell that their code had.
Oh no, they were smart.
But it meant
I wouldn't tell
sometimes.
them.
But it meant sometimes for the Allied, for the Americans or the British to let their own ships go down because they couldn't warn them.
We would deal with that later on. It's not
Uh-huh.
really sad, but when this sort of surprise attack comes when they go to Gibraltar,
Right. And
because they knew about it. They,
and there
they
were-
could decode things.
there was a very interesting.
But this is sorry.
you go,
You
yeah.
to see this with that envelope. That means it's
It's top secret.
it's top
Only
of
he
the-
has.
only for the commander,
Mhm.
and so they feel
he doesn't feel good.
this
about
is
it. He
not
knows
good news.
Something really bad's come up. Yeah. And no, of course they learn that they're.
Oh, well, that's like a suicide mission, right? What these guys now hoping to go back,
Yeah.
go home.
Now, what these guys are talking about, by the way, we had a hard time translating because this was real, true World War II slang, referring to the female military members. So
Oh, that's very.
Topic number one, existing.
But basically everywhere in the world.
well, they were the big heroes, as Jürgen was pointing out, and so they kind of had, they were today. I think we refer to this as alpha male. So they had first. Of course, now this is a real bummer for them.
So that means now going to
To another harbor, not back to La Rochelle.
and then to go through Gibraltar.
Yeah.
And that's almost like a suicide.
Yeah,
mission.
Yeah, I understand that the submarine command was very much opposed to what came in terms of orders, but they had, of course, no choice to send even at all boats to the Mediterranean because the Mediterranean has such shallow waters.
To some people, it might be a little confusing that what we just saw, that the captain is taking that envelope, right?
Yeah.
And say, where does that come from all of a sudden? He said, was it sent by
Airmail.
mail? And so this is the point. They have their sort of set cases, scenarios, possible scenarios.
Mhm.
And let's say in the code, through the code comes take envelope, let's say B1 or take envelope C. And that's the case. They have all these scenarios, like going to Gibraltar, through Gibraltar to Mediterranean
envelope
is
four.
one of
Uh-huh.
the scenarios.
Uh-huh.
And that's what he took, because he learned that from the code, to take a special envelope for a special scenario. So that's how that works. And the idea is here, of course, to go first, to make it clear again, to go to Spain, Vigo, in order to get more torpedoes, right?
And fuel, I guess,
And
This is the Atlantic port of Spain.
Right.
Vigo.
And also
It's
that
not the Mediterranean port; it's the Atlantic port.
Right.
Maybe we should add that. And La Rochelle is in France, at the Atlantic as well.
the north. So they
North,
basically
yeah.
went from
Going-
northern
going
Europe
south,
round
Going
Going
south
west,
or to
all
west,
around to the
southwest to
European-
Vigo.
right,
Yeah.
right.
And from there's the order to go through the Strait of Gibraltar into the Mediterranean.
between
which
Africa
is-
and Europe.
Yeah, which is
And there
suicide
was
mission.
these sort of German freighters in Spain. They were not officially not military, but just freighters, right? And they had nothing really to do with involvement in the war or so. But they then had secretly these sort of torpedoes inside and could get them to the submarine.
To refuel officially.
Yes.
Well, Spain was.
Is this added? The whole scene about the chief having to get off
No.
the boat? That was there already.
No, that was there.
It's not a new thing. Uh-huh.
No, it always was there, and so that's an interesting thing to go to Spain, to sneak in, into the harbor at night. Nobody
Yeah.
would ever notice. It's pretty eerie to go at night into the harbor, get up and go to that German ship,
To
get
find that ship.
secretly find it, and then
yeah.
secretly get the torpedoes and fuel and more
Supplies.
supplies, and go out again, sneak out, and then the task would be to go south, go through the Strait of Gibraltar into the Mediterranean.
Yeah.
An almost impossible task because there were so many English ships waiting. The Strait of Gibraltar was strategically extremely important.
Oh yeah, I mean this
Spot.
was the
It's
ticket.
spot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
it was like going through hell to do that. So that's the reason they are all so nervous about it, and that the captain, he wants to get
The
the
chief.
thief off in,
And the lieutenant here.
yeah, off in
Yeah.
Spain, so that they, you know what we learned later, he knew he thought it was a suicide mission. He wants to save their lives.
Yeah.
He wanted to get the chief off because he knew, you know, they're close friends, and he knew about also his wife was very sick, and also this kid, the war correspondent,
Right.
he was not really part of the whole.
And he was a good excuse to get the chief off because he
Yes.
could use him as the.
Yes.
Now, this did we have the letter scene? That's added though, right?
No, this scene was always in the film, but later on, then when we see him, you know, no, I think actually in the film was also when he later on was disappointed that
When he
couldn't
gives him
give
back
them back
because-
the letter. I think
right,
it was there. Yeah.
After the.
Yeah. But now we come to an interesting thing, because boy, what a nightmare it was for us at that time to plan how to shoot Vigo, a whole big harbor in Spain at night in 1941 again. You know,
Uh-huh.
we did that in La Rochelle, and it was a huge undertaking to do that. We could not afford again to clear a port, a harbor with get all the modern ships out and all that kind
Yeah,
of thing.
yeah.
So how could we do that? We were in Spain, we were in Vigo, we did tests there. Can we shoot it there? It just didn't work out, because at night you have to light all the things. So here you go, there you go. And what we finally ended up doing, it was a huge entire landscape of miniature. This
Looks very real to me.
Yes.
This one.
So in the back, all the lights, and you see even tiny little boats in the background, sort of
Yeah,
driving
yeah.
around. You see lights moving and all that. It's all, you know, done. It's all mechanically done. Nothing is real about it. The whole the mountains in the background are just sort of
Looks fantastic,
sculpted
doesn't it?
things. The sky is just painted.
Looks very good.
It's all the whole thing is a huge, in our tank again, a huge model Vigo harbor.
And that was an interior tank now, right? It's-
Exterior tank.
that was an exterior tank.
Outside, yes,
Wow.
outside. So they were actually shooting
Nice.
night after night, and you know, I was very tough on these guys, because it's so difficult to get this. That it looks real. I remember they were shooting for a month to get it over and over again. I would say at least, 30 to 40 times tried it to shoot it again and change things again, again. This, for example,
This is
the
front, right? Okay.
front projection again. Foreground is in the stage with the actors. Background is a plate that we shot in the tank
Model
as a plate. All these ships are models, and I think it looks pretty good. It's pretty good. It's a way of doing these scenes.
I would have always only, if at all, said that the front is a
This is
stage.
all models here. All the
This is
ships are
very-
all models, and
This one, yeah.
I think it's not bad. I mean, if you are very critical and stop it and see it again and again, you get it. But it is not. I think it's pretty good.
No, and it really doesn't.
And now we enter a whole new world of coming into that Weser ship.
Merchant
Did,
ship. Yeah.
do you always decide never to show the submarine anchored next to the
Yes,
Visa?
yes.
That was always the
Yeah,
idea.
yeah.
Now
Like,
here,
as I said before, a lot of these things were always very much planned. That way you see it.
I thought maybe something didn't work out. as
No,
well.
no,
You
no, no.
said,
In this case, it could have been, yeah, it could
go straight, come in
Yeah,
here.
but I liked it to go right
Yeah.
away
Yeah.
into this totally almost blinding light here. What I like so much about this whole sequence here
This
is,
is great. One of my favorites.
yeah, is that these guys, yeah, our guys,
Like gypsies into this
they feel so
first class restaurant.
comfortable here.
Look at those guys.
Yeah.
And they later on are happy to be back in their stinking boat.
Yeah, there's some very funny stuff in here
Yeah.
that unfortunately I have to say right now it's almost impossible to translate neither into subtitles nor into that's one of those things.
You know,
nor
there's a
into
little bit of a
translate.
cheat here, by the way.
Yeah.
Always a little embarrassing. He should know when he sees
Yeah.
the uniform that that's not the captain.
Right, right.
But,
it
we
worked.
thought the
There's
joke
something
is so good,
extra.
so we just go.
Because that guy is such a bozo, if I may say so. Then it's actually, you buy that.
That's Günther Lamprecht. He's one of our best actors
Wonderful
in
actor,
He
yes.
is so funny.
in Germany, and he did Berlin Alexanderplatz, the
Yeah.
famous
Big movie.
Fassbinder
Mhm.
series on TV, and he was the main guy.
It's like those home warriors, big talk, whole big balloon of air.
Yeah, the contrast. I mean, we are wearing the Submariners parts of our uniforms.
Although you dressed up
instead-
differently than any other
differently,
times,
but
because of
it's all
Christmas.
real stuff. I mean, they could wear, for example, I was wearing that sweater always the whole time, and that was part of the costume as well.
Was that a little smelly?
Yeah, after a while, I mean, never washed. Once a year, you know.
Sausage or
But
So,
you see now the
the
beards are
contrast,
really
of
long.
course, is really, yeah.
You
Yeah,
know, see that now the beards are really long.
Yeah.
Because the hair, and so they've really been through a
Imagine
long
what it means to us.
trip so far.
And of course, the contrast to this environment that they got into now with the Christmas music, and he's going, you know, it's not that easy here, and I mean, it's incredible.
And look at Jürgen,
Yeah, how he looks at him, it's like,
how he looks at that guy.
Yeah.
I mean, because these people were having a great life there. You see, they are nice and roundish, and they have all the greatest food in the world, and they let the other people do the war for them.
right,
You know.
and then have you know, big
They
talk.
try to get away as
Yeah.
easy as possible with it.
Now tell us.
And he's so
How many
pompous.
ships have
Yeah.
you
And again, this is so difficult too. There's so much in in like how it's delivered that it's
How forgetful.
difficult to convey the jokes.
Take a glass.
Lothar Günther Buchheim, the writer of the book, he hated this whole scene here. He hated basically everything about Armin.
To begin with.
To begin with.
Not anymore.
What a guy he was. I mean, we had incredible fights. I had fights with him. You cannot believe that. And because he had the feeling we did basically everything wrong. And
He's been there. I guess
yeah,
you
and-
can't really do it right then for anybody.
yes, so because we all were too young to even experience something like World War II. And he was there, and he said the only guy who can do this all really right is he himself.
Now here comes one of those who just. I'm
That's
sorry.
him. I mean, that's
Right,
the guy who
yeah.
plays
Which
him.
Grönemeyer here? Him,
Grönemeyer.
exactly. Here, how he takes the whole fish. There's things like this
Very
all over the movie that have made me.
Yeah, very stealthy though. Nobody would hopefully
It's like
see it.
very, very careful. It's like
And here, Jürgen Fix, he had never had one before. It's all good stuff.
Never had one.
Very fun. No, look, Buchheim just he was a tough guy, and he hated the movie. You know, he just didn't like it at all.
But he loved the long version of it later.
Well, I think later on, when everybody all of a sudden loved us, that he
Yeah.
joined the club.
I think on this one also he's very happy with it. So.
But of course, that was his baby and his experience, and he didn't want to give it away. I mean, that was why I think it was so.
See, gentlemen, that's
Yeah.
the feel.
Can you see here how he's going? Like, you know,
Phenomenal.
simply phenomenal. He's just such a pompous
Come on,
guy.
Captain, I want to hear more.
It's, I mean, the way it's portrayed is just so good,
Herring salad.
so on the nose.
Another
Now,
specialty of our chef.
the officers were not using the opportunity here to shave, right?
Just taste
Which they normally we would think is like coming to Harvard. You take a good
You know,
shower and you shave.
Also, it was that it was kind of a status kind of symbol kind of thing. They
Yeah.
they
Uh-huh.
liked to have a beard.
Yeah.
I think it was part of the whole image.
And it was very difficult. There was one bathroom in the sub.
Mhm.
So imagine 48 people.
Yeah, I think they
being
never
there. I mean,
wouldn't have
it
the
wasn't used for shaving.
luxury to
anyway.
shave it whatever.
Yeah. So the only guy doing this maybe is the first officer here.
Yeah, this is also nice. The first is very, you know, stiff
Proper,
upper lip
yeah.
first officer. But it's only like an afternoon shave.
Yeah.
Opposed to the other, he must be shaving. So
Well, he's now falling apart also.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, he's getting to the point
Yeah.
where.
Captain, over
So
here.
here the
new
naval
officer.
attaché.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Represent
this guy is also so well
Oh,
cast.
oh, absolutely.
I
I
mean-
think he's frightening.
Yeah, he's-
Because he's so real.
It smells like Nazi all over.
Yeah.
that's right. He was transferred, the poor man. You know.
Yeah, he can see this guy also being sort of,
And
in a
then-
concentration camp or so. I mean, I thought he was
Yeah, it's the
dead
faces
on,
that you-
totally,
right.
yeah.
totally real.
Just like Lamprecht was for the captain, also
Yeah.
perfect face.
We had this sort of genius casting guy at Bavaria Studios, Linter.
Flinter, yeah.
Yeah, Willy
Flinter,
Linter, a legendary guy. Boy, was he good with casting. He was one of these, I mean, rare professional people in the casting business in Germany who was actually travel around, go to stages, see plays all over.
Brought me into business, actually.
Really?
Is
He
that
was
right?
the one who,
You found-
I went with my brother once to the Bavarian Studios.
What
and,
what a great guy.
my brother's an actor as well, and
Uh-huh.
he said, "Oh, that's your brother, interesting." And 2 weeks later, the first offer for a movie from him.
He really went.
Yeah.
everywhere.
Never did a movie
He
before.
did have a good eye.
Yeah,
You can also
absolutely.
confirm that.
Yeah.
He looked at actors everywhere on stage, and so and I spent weeks and weeks and months with him going through all these young actors everywhere in Germany to find these faces because we wanted to have unknown people, new faces, fresh faces, and they were also young. So an incredible opportunity to find new actors. And when you talk about what a great casting this whole thing, it's very much I have to give credit to Willy Schlenter. I mean, he was just very, very good.
Now here is in the longer version something that where he's actually that you were also talking about earlier, that he is saying, well, let's get out a few hours earlier than we're supposed to.
Yes.
Is that suspicion?
Suspicion that something is not, it doesn't,
Right.
feel right here. Something is wrong. Let's get the hell out of here. And I have the feeling they're all happy to be back in that smelly boat as sort of a place where they feel comfortable and everything is more.
And of course, the crew never got out in the first place, right?
No,
They were
but I mean,
the
I mean the
officers,
others,
yeah,
the
right,
officers,
right.
And
Here
and here's that scene when he brings back this touching moment.
with that very nice music from Klaus Doldinger. That
Yes.
uh,
I think Klaus Doldinger talked a little bit about his music. I think I've done a lot of films. As you know, before this boat, I did about 25 films for TV and
movies as well.
and movies,
and
yes, and
movies
features.
as well, and then did all these films in Hollywood afterwards. I think Klaus Doldinger's score for this boat is the best score I've ever had. I think it's absolute fantastic, and it's really a great score.
And as I've heard many people comment also that it's not like you often have, unfortunately, in today's movies. It's not like drowning the movie. It's just used.
No,
to
it's not
hide-
wall to wall
Exactly.
music. It's just where you really need it, and then it has the full impact. So this is the scene now, of course, where he explains that it's his weird technique in how to get.
He's trying to make.
And boy, it goes really wrong.
But it's all he's trying to kind of cheer him.
And I must tell you, Jürgen, I must tell you,
He bought it.
no, I must tell you a little bit. We never talked about this, but it was always the description in the
This
book
is very
about the
together.
old man, about the guy, was that he always was, really scratching his beard and making extreme long pauses before he came out with something. Boy, did Jürgen do that.
In front of the camera, using
When it
yours.
was saying, so it's a long pause. He took an extreme long pause.
Look at this.
Look at this.
Now, there
So
we-
I had to.
It's all on me.
I had to cut out kilometers of film to make that
of Jürgen thinking.
to make that work. This scene was about 2 hours long.
They're getting. You have a little bit of.
He's still
like,
scratching
shifting
his,
of-
he's still scratching his beard. So I have to always then to cut to other people, to take these huge pauses out. You cut over this and then come back to him.
They do look sleepy. You're right. I've been waiting for that.
So finally he come up with something here.
So it sounds plausible, even though who knows.
It sounds very plausible, but it's pure bullshit. Because
Because I didn't learn my lines.
no, it's because it's all it just
It's
It
just trying to cheer him up. It's,
yeah,
he knows
it's just a
like
plan.
suicide mission.
sometimes you come up with just a great sounding plan and to keep the spirits up.
and he knows
the
doing it,
morale.
but he's going like, okay, it doesn't sound.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
I think
playing
there was
open.
one.
He's so creepy and he says not bad.
Not bad.
Meaning I've never heard bullshit like that before.
It'll never work. But let's do it.
Yeah.
So probably most of these professionals on the boat knew it's a little bit fake
That's,
and it won't probably work that well.
Now we're getting here to yet another one of my very favorite scenes. Probably the most grabbing action scene in any action movie I've ever seen when they get hit in a minute. That is just incredible. And I'd love to know whether that was something that developed to some degree also on the cutting room table, or whether you had mapped this. This is incredible when these cuts go back and forth.
That's good.
Right.
Just know how that.
Well, I mean, we did not storyboard at that time. I mean, that was the whole storyboard technique came later. The only sequence I storyboarded was the very, very last in La Rochelle with all these.
You couldn't blow it up so often.
Yeah, because you really had to really plan that in advance. But the other stuff was sort of partly really in the editing room we put it together.
incredible.
But again, this is the big boat, the
This is
11
real.
meters boat,
Uh-huh.
not the full length boat. And so to speak, it is the model. We shot a few of these scenes, by the way.
079.
Wasn't that the one of the lakes in
Bodensee.
Bodensee, yes.
Ah,
One of the Bodensee. So we were not only shooting in France, in La Rochelle, with the big boat outside, not only in the North Sea, what I told you twice, for about 6 weeks in Helgoland,
Yeah.
the tiny island in the North Sea of Germany, northern Germany, but also on that lake, on the Bodensee in Bavaria. These things were not these.
This is model,
This
right?
is model in the tank, but the shots with the boat were done there.
Yeah. This is also here all the way.
So nerve-wracking waiting.
Yeah.
They all know they're doomed. They all know this is not good. I mean, they know the chances are minimal. And
Yeah, and we put look, it's huge.
yeah, the
you know?
way he holds the binoculars, that's the way, it's a special way of holding that.
yeah.
They were trained, the actors, to hold
Yeah.
it exactly like that.
To balance it really with your hands very, very carefully and to stabilize it. We were taught really to look through.
Why was that so? Really, why was
So
that
that you
so
really
crucial?
can see that there's no movement on the, that you balance it. So
I
if
see.
you just
so it
put
would
it against
match
your,
better here. Yeah, I see.
that you put it just against your eyes, and so you just cannot really see that clearly.
And the interior light here is because your eyes get used to special darkness. So
That's why you have those
it-
red binoculars.
exactly,
I
yeah.
see,
To adjust your eyes,
just
because when you
adjust your eyes to get out and into the dark
And see right
and
away.
being able to see
Uh-huh.
right away.
Did you fog this in then or did you use something on the lens when there? No, that's fogged in, right?
It's
I mean,
fogged-
here anyway. The sun
Yeah,
of the sea.
well, we
but-
fogged that in when we
There
did
it goes,
the front projection thing,
Uh-huh.
and we also sometimes did a little bit filter in
That's-
the
uh-huh.
camera. And
So here the watch always behind is a great point of reference,
mhm.
knowing how much time is
Yeah,
passing.
wedding ring,
Yeah.
that is, I think, I like that shot very much.
Yeah.
Reminding-
We will really concentrate on these kind of shots when we said to all the actors, okay, this is your moment now, and really concentrate and think about your family, think about your kids, think about your mom, your dad, whatever you have, because it might be the last moment before you die. And everybody did his own thing there. Beautiful.
Right.
Now this is inside tank or
No, it's an outside tank.
this one too. The one.
Yeah, we only had outside tanks.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah, we had that one big outside tank.
May I ask about that painting on the top of that? I've been wondering. about that.
It was Götz Weidner's thing. He put that on, and I think it's cute. I think it's nice.
It's fine.
It's a symbol for what this room is.
Okay, just in case.
Yes.
For 48 people,
An early
imagine,
pictogram,
I mean.
I guess.
Well, they had
You do-
they had two.
yeah, but
bathrooms,
one was used for
food.
storage. Yeah.
Storage of food.
Some legend.
So this is again in our tank. You see the Gibraltar. You see how narrow it is there, and all these tiny little lights are ships. So you see you cannot get through. I mean,
It's,
and
summer, yeah.
Johan has a little bit of a problem.
I guess they all have a good
Yeah,
movement at this time.
they need a bathroom job.
So, and here we. And now, of course,
The attack.
yeah, this is the incredible.
This was a real plane,
This is a model outside
a
again.
model outside. That was the 11-meter model again. And now is this.
This is incredible
That
scene,
is-
Sammy.
yeah.
Most incredible.
This is, by the way, Blood. It's the only guy who's really being wounded, and we will see.
You only had the other guy had a little.
Yeah, but I mean wounded in a more
In a serious way.
serious,
yeah.
serious way. So it's really amazing how little blood there is in this film. If you compare it with nowadays films, where so much blood
Yeah.
going. This is the only sequence.
Here
that
and
we
of
have.
course at the end, then yeah.
Well, at the end when they all be
Yeah,
killed,
yeah,
but I mean throughout.
Yeah. And here, the sonar man doubling as medic because of course they could not afford to have his own doctor.
Right, and this is amazing stuff here. Again, Charlie Boom Boom, that was his big finest hour here, when he created all these huge effects on these destroyers and shooting and
Yeah, you
these
shoot this at an actual. This is not tank. This is the model out on the sea
Yes.
in Constance, and then he was shooting in reality rockets behind him.
Absolutely, yes. That was all done, I think, on the Bodensee, on that lake in Germany.
Right.
Great work. I love that. And one of the most favorite things of mine is when Jürgen's up there in the tower screaming faster, faster, faster.
It's like
It's like riding a
a
horse.
horse, yeah.
Here.
Yeah, yeah.
We should go.
Like he's pushing the boat. And
Right. You can tell it's like everything or nothing at this
Yeah.
moment.
Right. So
He
yeah,
explained.
you see there destroyer shooting.
yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful model work.
Yeah.
And,
And then
it's
those
the,
explosion snake,
yeah.
that must have been bad. How would
yeah,
you
they,
do
they
that?
always
the middle of
planted that
day?
in the
Yeah.
in the water, and so it's just great special effect work.
Yeah. Because I mean, if it's in a tank, it's one thing. When in a tank, you would have never gotten that. That was all.
I think there was post production, as far as I remember. When after we did the main production, it was done afterwards.
I think so. Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
Mhm.
The bottom thing.
Now these guys actually steering the boat. You know, the two who are sitting there with us big. They're actually steering it.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, these two.
Now you see all these angles. I think that's
They're for
pretty
the-
interesting.
for the
as well, you know,
hydroplane.
I mean, the boat is going down.
You're going
It's
down,
really,
and that's the problem.
you
So
know,
that's
yeah.
the hydroplane
Yeah. They're trying to hold
rudder,
yeah,
and it's stuck because
This
it's bomb.
is real dramatic stuff. I mean, when they cannot hold the boat
Boat
anymore, it's
Yeah.
You don't know
damaged,
how far it goes. And
and we know that around 150 meters, something like
200.
Yeah.
200 is
Yeah.
basically death.
Yeah. And here they move everybody forward. to try
I
to
think it
hold
was
away
built
again.
for safety 150 or something around.
But
that.
but really maximum, I think. But then as we know, we learned that it could go deeper than that.
But it's now when you, Jurgen, for you and the chief. I mean, this is your. Did you play any noises or to them? Did you get any noises played to you or something? Or how did
We did that a lot.
Yes,
Yeah. It's very often we
Yeah.
got from tape. We played things for the actors to react to.
Yeah, we wanted
Yeah,
that
there's-
always. We wanted to have sounds as well. And very often, as I said before, we had those people with the sledgehammers outside and banging the ship from the outside. And
Also, when the pressure was coming in,
Yeah,
so to say,
yeah.
the pressure,
Yeah,
the screaming metal, and all that, we played that stuff like that in.
But here, that isn't even. I mean, it's just such. An
but this is
incredible-
this going slow, more quiet and more quiet and quieter. You know, and
It's just
going
the
down.
reaction to
Yeah.
And of course, the chief is when he's just like flipping because the damn boat and stuff.
And then you come to that special
Begging it.
point where the rivets and the
Yeah.
joint going out again.
Well, when he actually, it's before this resignation, it's incredible. And then the
Yeah.
music comes in. It's just incredible.
You
You
seem
hear
to
it
like
say-
the film.
Oh yes. And here, when they realize
Trying to hold it,
it's
with their
over.
will, but it's over.
Yeah, it's like boat out of control. Boom.
We can't hold her. $200. $230. $240.
My God. Oh Lord, turn not away from me. Oh dear Lord, take away all our sins.
Okay,
Okay,
here
so
they
this is the moment now. Hitting the bottom, there, the boat stuck there, and what a miracle they are still alive. The boat still is in one piece. Nobody can believe that. There's
And
a strange thing coming up here. What we found out much later when we screened the film, there is in one of the shots you can see the prop girl
There is a girl,
Hiding.
after all, in the boat.
hiding in behind there in the set, and you see her blonde hair. And I don't know. We have to watch it now. When Jürgen steps to that instrument here, it's down on the left corner. You see that woman, and
So there is a woman in the boat.
you see that face down there, right under the arm. There's a face with blonde hair.
Need the
Yeah, that's-
widescreen
I
version.
didn't even see it now.
Yeah,
but I
well,
remember seeing it when we were
Yes,
discussing it.
and it's the pop girl,
Yeah.
you know. So that's kind of fun. I must tell you, if you see these faces now, it was more and more toward the end of the shooting. The last weeks or month came. We were so tired, and it was so exhausting. And you see all that in the face. That is the advantage if you really shoot in sequence, and that you go through this process. And the more you should be exhausted. And at the end of your power and your energy and your strength, you really are there
Mhm.
because you were shooting for month and month. That's
I mean, for example, when we were shooting these repair scenes here, you know, and
Yeah, where
the
they
people
still
were
think-
in the water, and that was cold water, and we were always covered with cold water. I think one guy got pneumonia, I think, and it was really, I mean, oh yeah, that was, it was really after 9 months of shooting, something like that. And when we were into this here, and there was tough work. I mean, working like this
It's every
for
day in the
hours and
water.
hours and
Incredible.
hours. I think it took at least a month to shoot all this here.
No, there's. It's also when they just thought they were okay, and then boom, they get. This is very often in this movie. I feel from an audience, you go with them, you think, oh, they made it, and then boom, something happens that really makes it even worse than it was before.
Well, it's typical sort of third act stuff. I mean, you have the feeling you have seen it all. It can't be worse than that, and it even gets worse.
Yes.
And now the whole boat seems to fall apart, and the constant pressure of being down there, more than 200 meters is just unbelievable.
Mm.
I mean,
It's
imagine
almost 300, and they don't know how long the boat will hold. Of course, you know.
Mm-hmm. Now I understand that there was actually a case like this, a submarine. Again, this is based on
That
on
happened.
part of it happened.
It
It was a
happened.
boat in front of nowhere.
it happened,
right?
really?
Yes, yeah. Yes, there was a
I also got a hold of the really actual log book,
of the U-96.
yeah, of this trip.
Uh-huh. Wow.
And we told you that the actual commander, he's dead now, but he was alive when we were shooting it. Again, we took that license of, in the film he dies, but in reality he survived it. And Jürgen had long chats with him about the part and how to play the part. And I, of course, used him as a good source for information about it, and part of that was also to get a look at this log. It's just unbelievable if you see this when a 2D thing. We
That
were
was
sitting down
actually
here.
written when
Oh, yeah.
when it was all happening.
Yes, sitting down here in Gibraltar.
This is also quite a statement, by the way.
Yes,
No, the guy who is like praying instead of happening. Now this is was the camera underneath the
yes, two cameras at the same time. One is here and one is down there. So that's always good to do these with multiple cameras, because boy, it's so hard to do these for the actors. Sometimes you are lucky to do it just in one take, and if you have 2 or 3 cameras, you can cut it different ways, and then you're there.
look at these water
Look
masses.
at those
that they-
shots and the masses of the water. And I mean, in addition to that, there were apples and things floating in the water, and that was
Diving.
in that boat, for example, that ham that was hanging there for half a year or something, and all of a sudden was floating in the water, and all the other stuff.
Next to you.
So there was quite something there.
And you see now that Johan is now
Working like hell.
we are working like hell. He's
Bringing back his
trying to redeem himself and work like 3 people at the same time.
Now when
Here
you,
he is. Here you see that he's just fighting.
did they really have these huge beams in?
Yes, they
Yeah,
had-
yeah. I was wondering about this as well. That was
It's like as if they go to
Yeah.
build a hut or something.
yeah.
I don't know actually for what they added there,
No.
but they had it.
That's the kind of thing that in this little tube, and then they can come up with all these things later. Also, when they need the wire. And
Yeah, but isn't that funny to say we have torpedoes for so much money and all that, but a goddamn little piece of wire we cannot
Yeah,
find
yeah.
anything.
The only thing you don't see is the kitchen. There was one scene in the book, and I always wanted that scene to be shot. The captain once was doing potato pancakes for the whole crew.
Himself.
Yes. Cooking them to cheer him up, and that was a wonderful scene, and he was standing there and throwing them in the air and then serving the whole crew with those potato pancakes.
Now, this was also a thing that could have poisoned them instantaneously, right? If this acid steam would have gone around the boat, yeah. Now, when you were shooting this and you had this water, would you leave that water in there for like days and days? I mean, does water stands for longer than a couple of days?
Well, we had the boat, for example, here. The boat was at an angle, and we built a tank around the boat in the stage, and we filled it with water. And we kept it there for quite a while. And then they had, and after a while, you're right, you have to exchange water, and put new water in. But as Jürgen said, it was cold water because we were not really a very luxurious production. I mean, money wise, still we could not afford maybe to do
To
it
heat
really
the water?
what we would do now here in Hollywood, to really heat the water and do everything nice and comfortable for the actors, you know.
Now, I bet that you wanted it to be cold anyway. You just don't want to admit this now when Jürgen is here. But
Well,
you wanted it to be just as cold as it was in the Atlantic.
well, I must tell you, I mean, we go as a director, also you go sometimes through real hardship. I can tell you one thing. In this room here, in the film where the torpedoes are, I was once sitting with Joost Vacano, and Charlie Boom Boom was demonstrating for the next day how he wants to do that when the torpedo sort of bursts open the hatch bursts open and water comes in. And there were two ways of doing that. I mean, there's two torpedo hatches on this side and two on the other side. So we were sitting with our backs to the torpedo hatches on one side, and we were looking at the others opposite, where
They were
supposed to open and water would come out in a safe distance. We were sitting. There was a little misunderstanding though, that Charlie,
Charlie Boom
who
Boom.
was outside, not seeing where we were sitting watching, we were right sitting in front of the real things that would open and water would blow out. So when we said, okay, we're ready now, do it, an enormous noise came, an enormous power. We were thrown like 5 meters through the room, but by that water, what came out of this hatches.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
So all these kind of
It
things.
is a little dangerous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what I told you again, this was, we had a tank built around the boat, about that part of the boat. The boat was at an angle so that we could simulate this being stuck down there in the water, it's sort of rising and rising.
And when you needed to push it in, like would you have hoses or?
Yes.
Yeah.
Very
Just
simple.
hook up.
Just-
Yeah.
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 So this is a great time here for Klaus Wennemann, this whole sequence when he is fighting for the boat. And
Yeah,
when he's
too.
trying to put it, that's his baby.
Yeah,
He's
yeah,
responsible
yeah.
for the whole technique of the boat, trying to put it
Also-
all back together.
What I was amazed at is like Jürgen, as a captain, you don't seem to do much. Though.
No, you can only wait and give the orders, and then wait that
you have your
everything is
people doing that.
Yeah, have the people there.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's like
that's
you-
frustrating as well, sitting around just waiting and not being able
Like
to
a
do
director.
anything.
Like
you know?
directors, the actors,
Hopefully the actors
do
show
it.
up, and the special
and
effects guys
the
and the
photographer
cameramen.
takes pictures, he would just sit there and collect the check.
Yeah.
No, there's actually later when the chief is explaining the plan, and then the captain is eating a sandwich, and these guys are like,
Yeah,
Live
just
better
to,
for
to see, to let them know I'm comfortable here. and-
Exactly, it's a-
and-
Psychological
psychological
game.
thing,
To always have the captain seems to be fine. If the captain is fine, we're fine.
Right.
If the captain gets nervous, we're done.
then we got a problem.
Yes.
Yeah,
This is a
this
great
is the redeeming
thing, the
Yeah,
redeeming scene. I think I love that.
Yeah.
And see how touched Jürgen
Yeah.
is.
and then also the correspondent has obviously been heavily helping him here.
Yes. Good stuff. Hope is coming back.
Now it's gotta get. That's also very much.
I always like that. It's always sort of a group effort here. They all now work together. In a situation like that, everybody gives his best, and maybe you get something out of these people what you never would thought it would be possible, right? And this is sort of the symbolic thing of
all of them pulling
all of
together,
them pulling together on the same problem, so to speak.
That's
And
interesting because here you see the boat
voice
in
out.
in the whole height.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Although you walk on where they're standing right now.
yeah, exactly.
And everything's
yeah,
underneath,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Yeah. And I know there's one scene where Hannes Nickel, the editor, is not so happy about continuing the shot.
oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, it's always these sort of little glitches, little things where you never get over it. And I think it's terrible. And most of the people, they don't even see it, and they
Yeah.
don't even know about it.
So here, this is it. Here he's
He's
eating
just
his,
eating it.
his
He's fine.
sandwich.
He's cool.
Yeah.
While he's like out of breath. He's
By this time here now, and I talked to you about Klaus Wennemann's first time in front of a camera.
right.
Boy, how we love this guy. I mean, how good he was, especially here in all these sequences. It's
Fantastic. yeah,
incredible.
yeah,
Incredible.
See, here he's pouring out.
yeah.
That's Uwe Ochsenknecht on the left there. He's a big star right now in Germany also.
Yeah.
And we talked about him, Klaus. Of course, he became a big TV star after Das Boot.
Uh-huh.
Very famous guy.
And a lot of the others are those people that were found all over the city and city. I'm saying all over the country and
Mhm.
and never had to speak before. Right?
Yeah, and you know, we talked about that many of these people became really big stars in Germany. Some didn't. For example, this guy, Hubertus Bengsch, who was a
He's
great
doing
guy.
this great. It's
Great,
so perfectly
yeah,
cast.
Choice
yes,
for
Yeah.
this.
yeah.
Yeah.
He never broke through. And also Johann the Ghost, you know, who was also this great character in this
Yeah.
boat. I mean, he's still around doing
He's doing
things,
well, but
but it's
nothing.
not really became not
Mm.
really a sort of a breakthrough star thing. And but the others did.
People having seen the picture never forget him.
No, yeah.
He's so, I mean, so strong in that picture. And
One of his pictures when he's
yeah,
screaming in the diesel
yeah.
on every
Everything.
one of the major publicity.
The ghost is one of the real strong parts in the
Right.
picture.
And here, this is also like, you know, when our Nazi, our Hitler Youth as the captain, Hitler
Yes.
leader, which is
But
like
look at
the-
these faces. Look at Jürgen's face. This is after I
Look
don't
at
know,
that beard. I mean, that was
8,
growing
10
for-
months of shooting. You know, you see it.
Hail-like.
What
Yeah,
a
look-
difference to
to the beginning. Yeah.
the beginning.
Actually, I mean, maybe I should mention it now. Buchheim, the author of the book, he published a photo book comparing the crew, our crew, the actors, with the real crew. And you couldn't tell the difference sometimes. We were really looking so alike that it was fantastic. I still have that book, and every now and then I have a look at it. And if you see the real people and you see the actors, they look really similar. There's one guy who looks like the ghost, exactly,
Really?
and is fascinating.
Also, an interesting
with
thing
those beards and the way they looked, and
when
it
the
was
film
so close to reality. It was unbelievable.
when the film was released in 1981 in Germany, one of the publicity material what they used was showing the entire crew before and
And after.
after.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And that was just that.
Mhm.
And that tells you a whole story.
Mm.
Looking the faces
The
when they
crew.
leave
Mm.
La Rochelle and go on the trip. And this is how they look when they come back. You don't have even to tell anything more than that.
Yeah.
Just look at the faces.
We're
and you
putting-
know what they went through. What an experience that was. They look like they're all 20 years older.
We're putting that on the website actually. Dasboot.com.
And
Yeah.
if you see the real people, I mean, there's this photo book because he was a photographer and he took all those photos, Buchheim, and saved them. I don't know how many, but a lot. And he published this book. That's highly interesting.
To compare
Yeah, to compare that.
People quite often ask me why the director's cut. What did happen? Did the studio come to you and say, Wolfgang, I think we should do this, or how did that happen? And remember, Otwin, we talked about this already like what, 5, 6 years ago, because I always from the very beginning had the feeling, and I think I mentioned it earlier on, Jürgen, that we all had the feeling there is one better, even better movie out there. Meaning not the TV version is a different thing, but as a film to see it in one piece on the big screen or on laser or whatever as one experience. And that film is out there. We knew that because we had all this material. But sometimes it's all a matter of timing. And when I, started to work here and became more and more successful here, I think that Ortwin, who always was a fan of the idea of doing a director's cut, and we again we talked about it like 6 years ago already, and he like when was it like a year and a half ago
Yeah,
came
just
to me
about.
and said, Wolfgang, don't you think it's time now to do it because maybe the odds are better now and the timing is better now because I did In the Line of Fire for Columbia, and Columbia
Right.
owns Das Boot in the United States
Right.
and most of the territories worldwide. And so that was a big success for Columbia. And I was right in preparing at that time last year, Air Force One, another film for Columbia,
With
at
Harrison
least
Ford.
domestic with Harrison Ford here. So it looks like we had really a strong relationship going on there. And why not now ask the question to do it? And Ortwin was very, very helpful here in pushing it. And we got so excited about it. And then Ortwin just, walked in the doors in the offices of the guys and made the proposal and do this, and they were very open to that. And I think then all of a sudden everybody involved got very excited about the idea to do this. So
Yes, everybody really came on
that
board.
was like a year and a half ago, and then all of last year it started, as we said, bringing Hannes Nickel, the great editor of Das Boot, over, and he spent a month here, and then we had an incredible time of doing this. And I think I must tell you, I'm I'm so glad. I'm so happy that we have this version now. That it is there on Laserdisc, on video. It's there. It's now there forever. And in this version, what I really think is good. I mean, it's long, but it should be long. I think it is an epic now. What it should be. This kind of trip is really an epic trip, and it should be an epic movie experience. And it's there now. We have it, and I really am very happy that Columbia they did it and they put up the money to do it, and we can now show it in this version all over the world. It's great.
Yeah, no, they really got indeed very much on board. No pun intended. I learned in the process of it actually. Also, I was told that over the years, Das Boot was like a perennial on video, and the highest performing foreign video. It was like apparently the joke on the Video Dealers Association meeting every year, and the highest grossing foreign
Right.
video. And then people say, "Ah, Das Boot," and it was for several years.
But you, some minutes ago, you very cleverly squeezed in that there's a website.
That's right,
Should
absolutely.
we not talk about it again?
Right, we should probably also repeat it again. There is for all of those who are interested in knowing even more about the making of and some historical background and the actors, etc. We're building an extensive website that will
What is
be
the
out there.
website again?
It's dasboot.com.
What was it?
dasboot.com.
Oh,
In one word.
okay, good.
Because I know you go on the website all the time, Wolfgang.
Yes.
And no, it's going to be interactive. You're going to be able to walk through the boat and learn even more about those parts.
Oh, really? And again, a reminder if people who see this and listen to this, if they ever come to Munich, don't forget to go maybe and look
To book the
at-
tour.
do the tour, because it's fascinating to see
Yes.
this boat still be there.
Yeah.
See, being there, you can walk through, you can be wherever the actors are here. You can sit in the offices mess, you can relive this whole thing. It's fascinating. And you see all the models, and they have also making of films there about this boat. It's a big thing at Bavaria Studios. It's really interesting.
And it is stunning how small it is. I can't overemphasize that. It's just incredible. Because you must have always used a wide angle lens here to get this all in. So it seems larger even than it.
Well, we did very often with the wider lens, exactly. Yeah.
Otherwise, you couldn't.
So now is the scene where a lot of people say that's their
Ah, yeah.
favorite scene. And it's probably for me also one of my probably 3 favorite scenes. I really like the tanker scene,
Mhm.
what we discussed, when these people jump off the boat and,
Yeah.
and they don't take it.
retreat,
I think it's his favorite scene for mine. It's this scene here with Herbie Grönemeyer, with this guy here, and with the chief, with Klaus Wennemann. And maybe my favorite scene of all is then coming up between Jürgen and Harry Grönemeyer, when it seems like it's all over, where there's no sound effects anymore, nothing, no music, just faces, realizing it looks like it's over.
Look at this face. I mean, this is incredible, isn't it?
Yeah,
I mean, it really is.
Now, here we were wondering, is this
He's the
like, is
one
he
out
bringing
there.
wine or something? This is apple
juice.
juice.
Yeah.
Also, it's
And the
interesting that we
original
shot
version.
this scene was maybe the only scene in the entire movie was shot with a real camera.
Production
So-
sound. Uh-huh.
Yeah, because this is not, we did not dub this, we did not ADR this later, because we thought it's such an important scene. And if we shoot it without, we didn't need, you see that it's a static camera?
Mm-hmm.
We don't need to walk around, and so we don't need this sort of stabilized camera
Mhm.
videos. So we just for that day we brought in another camera and sort of soundproof so that we could use the original sound here. And what a performance here,
Yeah.
especially of Klaus.
Mm.
And he knew it. I mean, that's what we say. He knew it from the very beginning that they have no chance. It's the whole bullshit with
Get
how
through the strait and
how to get through the strait. It was all just.
And he's not angry, of course. He realizes.
No, he
that
admires him for
every-
that.
yeah.
He thinks what a great guy the captain is that he did that.
Well, that was the order to
Right.
go through it. So
choice that you have,
yeah,
right.
what choice? Yeah.
But
The only choice and the only possibility was maybe to
Get
hit
these two
that.
guys.
Yes,
Yeah. And get these two guys
Yeah.
off, which
Yeah.
obviously didn't. Now it says on these blankets later, it says Marine, Marine,
Uh-huh.
Marine. And then at the end in the credits,
Quite simple.
you're thinking BMW Marine.
Easy trick.
Is there anything? I mean, did these guys? I don't know. Maybe too long.
BMW
Probably.
movie?
I think that's what it
I
said.
don't remember that at all.
Okay.
I really don't know.
I know we had towels made, replicas. We had
Mhm.
original ones, and I mean, as far as we could get original costumes or parts or whatever, we used them. But I still have those towels at home.
Really?
The replicas of it. Yeah, I got that on a set of it, and I mean, all the
You
other
stole it,
costumes.
maybe?
No, they gave it to me. So that was something
That's also one of my
very
favorite.
special. Yeah.
So my favorite lines is "It's not a bad trick, just it had to work."
Yeah, that's the problem. It just didn't work.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think let's talk a little bit about Jürgen because we had so much things together to do together after the opening of
Yeah,
the film and
yeah.
how we can change our lives. First of all, I must tell you, when Das Boot came out, and there were always the question, was the boat on festivals and all this kind of thing? Yes, the boat was not on huge major festivals, but there's so many festivals in the world. So I got so many of awards and little medals from everywhere where the boat was. So in one, the telegram I got, uh, uh, at that time was not a fax, it was a telegram I got from Hollywood, from the Directors Guild,
Uh-huh.
saying that I would I would be nominated as one of the 5 best directors that year from the Directors Guild. Believe me or not, I had no idea what Directors Guild was. Really, I had no idea. I said it's maybe just one of these things that come in, and so, and I put it in my pocket, and I had that day I had lunch because I was working on my next film, The Never Ending Story, what we shot in Munich also,
Yeah.
but that was English in English language the first time. And I was having lunch with the producer Bernd Eichinger and an American producer who was interested to co-finance Neverending Story. So I said, "Oh, by the way, you are from America, from Hollywood. I have this telegram here, and what do you think? Is that important or what is it?" And he almost fell off his chair and said, "Wolfgang, are you nuts? This is maybe the best thing you can get. It is from your peers. It is the nomination of one of the 5, and it means like 95% you will probably get an Oscar nomination, because these Director Guild nominations translate almost all the time automatically into an Oscar nomination. So you better go."
Right.
So I then went then and flew over then and had a great time. By the way, let's look a little bit here.
Yeah, this
This is my favorite scene, and I think if you look at Jürgen's face here again,
That-
I,
that must
I
be-
remember there was something. I prepared myself for that scene in a special way always. I used a special technique to get into this. And there's one moment
Like how?
relaxing and concentration. A lot of it was relaxing. And there was one part of that process later you talk for real. And because you were saying camera's already rolling, do your stuff, and then we start the scene whenever you're ready for this, And you took this preparation part. It's in the movie. It's it's a part of the.
We will come to that.
Yeah,
When you
we'll
do
come
this
to that.
breathing-
Exactly, the breathing.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, that's
yes.
interesting.
I've forgotten about
Yeah,
that.
that was
yeah.
preparation.
That was preparation. For
And-
me,
and
it was
I
preparation.
thought it was
Very
emotion.
dramatic.
Yeah.
I thought it was acting.
Yeah. Oh,
I still thought.
well, it was, but I was trying really to get into that
I think we
character,
should
you know.
cut it out.
Now that we know it's kind of just
Yeah, it was
preparation,
not
but-
acting; it was just preparation. So we should let's do a new laser discourse without that.
Here is he's reciting this
Yeah.
this Nazi propaganda that
Yeah, I love
that he
this.
called
I think
for.
it's really good stuff.
It's like, here I am with my reality.
Yeah, this is what the reality now is.
Situation with
This is all about what propaganda did at that time. I mean, the Goebbels and his people were so smart about really seducing all these people into these incredible, bold adventures they can
Right.
be in this heroic bullshit, and he believed in that. The young Buchheim, obviously, when he was that age,
Sure, I mean,
he was very
fascinated,
fascinated by it. And I think it's a great thing for him to go through that and then see, and that's the reality. It's
Yeah.
nothing.
And
We
here
are,
when
we are like rats here down there in this stinking water and dying. And this is
And
This is-
this is the moment.
Yeah.
This is all part of what I said. It's my favorite sequence. Is the scene with Jürgen and
Klaus.
Klaus Wennemann and him, but especially also with Klaus here. I think this is just
he has
great stuff.
turns around.
As he turns, expecting bad news.
Right. And then he starts out.
And then comes this speech, and I think that's just beautiful.
Yeah, and he's so formal.
has
you
been
know, that
working
he's
for us.
been before.
Yeah.
It's making clear he got big news.
For hours and hours and hours. Yeah.
And then I like so much when he then has done all his report, and he
Yeah.
says, "But there's just a tiny little, you know, we need to tweak a little bit." I think it's just great.
Yeah.
Just watch him a little bit. It's just great to see these faces. I mean,
You
again,
look really like
again, it's so great.
20 years old.
Yeah.
This is
And believe me, there's not much makeup going on. There's a lot of real exhaustion in these faces.
And I guess
We did a little bit on the lips. You see that? Remember, Jürgen?
yeah.
These sort of
Yeah.
cut lips.
yeah.
That is makeup.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, the little tricks you did still do, but
But basically, you
but
had to get the
basically,
sun,
it's
yeah.
it's reality, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, those shots are all incredible. I mean, Wakano did a fantastic job doing all this.
Oh yeah.
The lighting must have
Yeah, the
been,
lighting was
Well,
incredible.
we
He
should-
used the
We should talk a little bit
Yeah,
about that
yeah,
because
yeah.
he you know he always used almost all the time just practical lights.
Mhm.
You see that in background, these blue
Yeah.
lights, all
Mhm.
these
Lights,
not really
not adding much of
no.
Just put a higher wattage in. Just
Yeah, yeah,
uh-huh.
yeah.
and use that and that moving camera. I mean, just created this incredible sense of
Mm.
reality. And this is what Jürgen was talking about now. This breathing here. What I always thought was great acting.
It's just breathing.
It's just breathing.
As
It's
simple
just
as that.
simple preparing himself.
It's just the natural.
Yeah, and I mean, I never till this moment when we now talk about it, I always thought this is his great finest moment in acting. It's not.
Half a bottle of beer for each.
Yeah, that's also a great line in there. All you need is good people, really good people.
Yeah, or did they hate us for that in Germany?
They did, huh?
Yeah,
Because we were all supposed to be bad. Uh-huh.
They won't be expecting us.
but I mean, it's all changed now. I think we are very popular with this
Yeah.
film in Germany.
Well, we should
Yeah.
add, because I think it was released in '81 in Germany in October, the boat, and then we weren't available anymore from Germany, being the choice for the Oscars for foreign film.
They didn't nominate.
So
you,
we
or
did not. We were nominated then. And the next year, I think we were then, but
But we would then for all the normal
all the
categories,
other
with one
categories, yeah.
exception. I mean, the strange rule situation. We were nominated for. I think it was for director, screenplay,
for two sounds.
editing, camera,
editing,
and two
yeah.
sounds, and so. But not. We could not compete for best picture.
That was the rule back then.
That
of
was the
the Academy.
rule for strange kind of rule. I think they changed it since or whatever.
It
We
must
couldn't-
have, because Il Postino since has been, because up to that movie, this was the highest nominated. So to
Yes.
speak, foreign
So,
movie.
but it was not possible, and what a shame it was because I think
Yeah.
we had a good chance to get Best Picture nomination also. So now we come
Nobody has done
back
that before. I mean.
back to this thing because I think this now
This is also great.
is
Look at all the people, right?
is a great thing. That is the only time that we really opened the set for a moment. You see that for
Yeah.
this wide shot.
Uh-huh.
To get all the people in the shot, basically, we had to just where the camera now is was the wall,
Uh-huh.
right? And we took it out for that shot. I've never admitted anything like that before, but now I do it.
In the confidentiality of this.
Yes, because nobody will ever
That's
know.
right. That's right.
So, and this, what a triumphant moment this is.
And the music is also great. How it keeps
Yes.
increasing the chords.
It was really exciting because you could feel the energy of everybody around them. All the people together, and trying to get this boat from up.
Yeah. And what I
Because
think
they were
it's-
going to let you out again,
yeah.
finally.
what I think also is it's a great moment when the boat breaks through and when the hatch opens and everyone
air.
is trying to get air into the lungs, fresh air. I mean, we can really understand that one.
Yeah, I mean, they.
And then shortly after that, and we'll come to that, is if we talk about great scenes or moments in the film, there's a moment about acting what I just love to see over again. It's Klaus Rennermann again when the diesel finally worked.
Oh yeah, that is great.
And he gets his sort of
Yeah,
he gets sort of strange reaction. And I couldn't believe that. We will come to that when he was doing that when we were shooting. I said, "What the hell is he doing?" But it
And
was perfect.
Here, this is also
This is the great
big
moment here.
bang when it
Breaking
comes out.
through. This was, by the way, we used only this for the teaser trailer in Germany when it came out. Only this shot. It was like
Really? That's all?
That was all.
Very interesting.
We saw only water, and we heard for quite a while we didn't hear anything, and then the rumble came, and all of a sudden it broke through the water, and it says Das Boot, and that's it. And it was very effective.
Oh yeah, that's
Very
actually
Very, very simple, but very effective. So this is what I'm talking about now. All these people
Right.
here getting the air into their lungs.
People were always asking me whether I've been on a real set. Never was.
Well, I would say this is about as close as you could have gotten to it. Because the incredible thing here is that in today's sub, you got all those devices to see outside and stuff. Here, you were locked up in a sardine and rocked around. I mean,
Well,
That-
also a technique we did, we never cut what normally you do in films like that to the enemy, to the other side.
yeah.
Right.
Here's the.
You stay with the people.
This is great.
We
right?
we never cut away and shot the enemy, they were always in the distance. So this is now the scene.
He's like
Talk-
hesitant because this is it, either or.
Look at this great diesel.
Yeah. And that was very.
Well, how the thing shakes here and it's sort of little.
As it comes, yeah. And the music is composed to the rhythm of the diesel.
Yeah.
It kicks in when it's done.
Wonderful. And here, now that's what I'm saying. This strange laughing.
It's a triumphant moment. Yeah.
Good
He is
stuff.
very proud.
Yeah.
All these, again, these faces. I just love these faces. This is done. This is all.
That's
This
the way
was
back.
Yeah, that's on the way back, right to left again, back home.
And man-made storm or a self-made storm?
Not into the Mediterranean.
Although we shot
back
that,
to
we shot that in Helgoland.
the Atlantic to La
That was
Rochelle.
a pretty real storm. So we go back home, to La Rochelle, where this whole thing started.
Yeah, on this,
Going to Christ. That's
I-
a great shot as well, isn't it?
I spoke to Albrecht, who was involved in the original sound, and he was saying they found one of those diesels, the original diesels, in an old tugboat that was like cruising the river up
Yeah,
and down.
yeah,
They
right.
recorded the original diesel.
So this is again the technique of front projection. So the actors here on stage, we throw a lot of water in their faces, and the background is a plate of water. And this here also what we shot in Helgoland, in big
Amazing,
production,
yeah.
and huge water again.
And this is probably with our green men again.
That's very possible that he was all vomiting all over the thing. At this
No, that's funny as well. They get a beer,
This is yeah. Is this the beaten that one after you plastered it together?
No,
again,
this
or
is,
is that-
this is still the 11-meter model. I tell you,
Oh, okay.
you can only I can show you when we really have this sort of patch together,
Mhm.
full scale.
That's the beer here.
Yeah. Now this
That's
is
all the alcohol they could get,
Half a bottle.
But without wanting to do any promotion here, but it's amazing the label is the same, has stayed the
Beck's
same.
beer?
Beck's
Yes.
beer,
They said
yeah.
people always thought
Couldn't
"But
believe it. Yeah.
that's a mistake.
Yeah, that's right.
It's a mistake. Looks-
You forgot
it's
to
not.
update that.
It's
yeah.
The
not.
size of the bottle is a bit different, but the label is still
They were drinking more back then, right? the more economical.
obviously.
This is also quite the touching thing here.
Yeah.
This is the actor. He became pretty famous also here. The guy on
Yeah.
the right,
Yeah.
Claude Oliver Rudolph.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, he is a wild guy. Dangerous man. He was, when we talked about our people were sort of a wild bunch, he was definitely one of these. And
He's also very cool here.
yeah.
Yeah.
So now we come to the big finale of the film, and we should talk a little bit about it. Going back to La Rochelle, where the movie started, And if you see now all these a little later, all these planes coming in, they were real planes. It was not CGI time then. We really had to bring them in, I think from England. We brought these
Yeah,
planes
yeah.
in. Yeah.
To
And then we had Charlie Boom Boom had the major task. I told you that we had to bring out all these modern ships out of
No,
our
he-
shell.
This is
This
the
is a patched up
exterior
one, right?
parts, put together. here.
This is that boat.
There's
Yes.
a funny one, by the way. When you cut in a second, when they log in, you're going to see a guy dancing. I don't know what happened there. I always wanted to ask you that.
Dancing.
The guy dancing. in
Now
the
you see the
background.
faces here. This is like the original, like in the photo book from Buchheim. It really, if you compare it to that, it's
Between
exactly
out
that
and in.
situation. If you see the camera pans over those faces here, and you see the way they look, that is very stunning.
These are the
You
extras.
see that guy dancing in the back?
Oh, dancing? Well,
He's
it
like
was obviously
doing a foxtrot
maybe
there.
a little cold that day. So, but again, I mean, this is that damaged boat, and we just pulled it in. It could
Yeah,
not drive by
yeah.
itself anymore because it was large parts of it was just wood and fabric and stuff, not really metal. So it was very precarious for the actors to stay on to stand on this boat because it was very dangerous.
Yeah.
And then it was Charlie Boom Boom's big moment
Yeah.
here.
I mean, that took, I think, 2 weeks to shoot all the stuff.
Amazing with these
Amazing,
explosions
yeah,
and
yeah.
all these extras there. And it
Setting
was
it up there.
it was for the most of these extras were French, of course, because
I
we're
was
shooting.
thinking, yeah.
It was a traumatic for a lot of these people who actually remember when it really happened. Of the
Yeah,
older
they
ones,
were there.
they were there
Like
and
the
watched
German
it.
Nazi uniforms.
Oh boy,
Yeah.
I
40
can imagine that what
Yeah.
that meant for them to go through all that again to see a German submarine coming back here, and so it was like reliving everything.
Some of the extras
Okay,
actually
we're gonna-
experienced the real thing, the bombardment of the
Yeah.
of the boat.
Yeah.
That boat.
So now we come to that moment, the attack from the sky, and I think this is so. It's a very sort of German ending of the film. Also, the Americans very often ask me, why couldn't they just survive this and have a triumphant ending? And so, no way, in a German movie you cannot do that.
No, but it's also really a very, very strong statement about it.
Oh,
About
absolutely.
war, about the
Yeah.
absurdity of war.
Irony,
I think
exactly.
this is
So these planes
something-
were real. You see all that, no modern ships anymore. We pulled all these out. This was a major, major deal.
Yeah,
actually.
that's
Yeah.
big.
I read that the budget for the charges alone was 1 million Deutschmarks, which would translate to today probably about $2 million.
It's a stock shot.
That-
Yeah.
yeah,
But we had to buy that shot. And but look what Charlie Boom Boom.
Yeah,
It's really his name Boom Boom is very well deserved. It booms everywhere. And
he blew up.
yeah, and then in the back, and then what we did also now when we come inside the pen, the bunker,
Mm-hmm.
that's a historical moment also that they really one huge bomb that was thrown on the roof of that pen almost got
Shot
through.
through, yeah,
Uh-huh.
for the first time.
For the very
Yeah.
first time and probably the last time because
Mhm.
it was a huge bomb. They tried to hit that bunker and destroy it, but didn't destroy it, but it almost
It
got
crashed.
through. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
and you will see it soon when we try to simulate that situation. So here now the people who survived.
And I think it's very exciting for the audience to know, who did it, and then you see the faces here. And later when he goes back out and you see the ones that killed. And
Yeah.
this is
So
really-
they survived here,
yeah,
obviously.
those are the survivors, yeah.
And now we come to that
Yeah.
huge explosion, and we see when all that debris is falling from the ceiling. That is what actually really happened at that time in La Rochelle, hitting that bunker.
Now this you must have shot in the beginning because you have another submarine in the back still. Did you shoot this in the beginning or did you use the beaten up one before?
Yeah.
I think we did.
There's the big
Yeah,
yeah.
I think we did that. Yeah, I think we used that. There's the explosion coming.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
So, and now we come to the end of the movie when Herbie is going down, and I must tell you also that some of that we shot later. Now it's such a sad ending, but it's such a kind of a funny story because I was walking in Munich with my wife Maria, and we were really thinking, who shall we kill? And we decided it right then and there and shot it in Munich. So this is all done in Munich. And we said, okay, I think Johann should be dead, right? Because
Oh, I see.
We were shooting this in Munich.
This
yes,
was
this is
not
done
La
in Munich.
Rochelle.
This
I
shot
didn't
is
recall
Munich.
that at all.
Yeah, this is in Munich.
Uh-huh.
So we really make a list of who should die,
Yeah.
and
Made him up.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
we said, "Oh, he was not nice yesterday, so let him let him
But a
die."
couple were written in the book, weren't they?
Not really. I
No?
mean, no.
No?
It was very open who really in the book who really was killed.
Uh-huh.
So, and this is the famous scene here now with
Yeah,
the
the
boat going
boat is
down.
down.
That was a mechanism we had down
Yeah,
there to
to
pull the
pull
boat
it.
down so we could shoot it again. We would bring the boat back, and 5 minutes later, we would shoot it again.
And it
Uh,
would survive that going under and out.
Yes,
Wow.
yeah. It was actually not the whole boat.
Oh, I see.
As you see, just a tower with a little bit on it. And then the death of the commander, you know, it's not really, we don't show really that he dies, but I mean, people read
Yeah.
it like he's dead.
Yeah, I've never doubted
Yes,
that.
and that's correct.
With a
That's what
Yeah.
we wanted.
blood out of the mouth means usually.
And the boat is gone. It's gone.
Right. Hit that major problem.
So that's boy, that's the end of it. What a great thing to sit here for 3.5 hours and Jürgen to go through
Yeah.
all that again.
Yeah.
Wasn't it like 3.5 years that
Reliving
you
it,
worked on it?
revisiting it.
Yeah, yeah, it was 3
All
years
together?
all together with the long version, writing it, everything was 3 years, and now fade out to black, and it's over.
There
I
you go.
really hope that that the audience out there listening to us, they got a little bit of interesting information from what we were talking about here, and I think I can say we had a great time doing this here,
Oh, that
reliving
was, I mean,
this
this
again.
is a part of our lives.
Thank you
That's
very
a
much
very,
for
very
sitting with us for
Yeah.
important
3.5
part,
hours.
and
That
still
was-
is, and people are still talking about it. And people are, I mean, this is
And again, I'm
wherever I go.
proud that we have this version now. I'm very happy with it. And thank you, Otwin, for pushing everybody into it and doing it. And thank you, Columbia Pictures, for putting up a lot of money. And Hannes Nickel, I think a special salute to him, the editor, who did this, month of work. And very, very special, I think, thanks to the producer, Günter Rohrbach, who this is also like for us, his lifetime
Mhm.
This is his
film, his
achievement.
big achievement, and
Achievement.
he did so much for all of us young directors. I told you in the 70s, and this is sort of his biggest triumph and all of our probably biggest thing in our professional life. So that's it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Don't
Bye-bye.
don't forget the website.
Enjoy,
westwood.com. More there. Thank you, Wolfie. Thank you.